It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here, and so is the Windows Phone 8.1 update. We'll take a tour, and you know what? I might even buy a Windows Phone right here on the show. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 358, recorded April 16th, 2014. Enjoy good entertainment. Windows Weekly is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today for a 30-day free trial. Visit sharefile.com, click the microphone, and enter Windows. And by Shutterstock.com. With over 30 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 20% off your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use the offer code Windows414. And by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging, informative tutorials streamed to your Roku computer or mobile device. For 30% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/WW and use the code WW30. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott is here. He is celebrating craft beer today from beautiful, snowy Dedham, Massachusetts.
Makes me want to drink.
He is the editor-in-chief of the Supersite for Windows, WinSupersite.com. Windows IT Pro regular, analyst at Penton Media, and in the Twitter Top 100. Also in the Twitter Top 100, Mary Jo Foley of allaboutmicrosoft.com. I congratulate you both on your big victories.
Thanks.
Wow.
I'm a little bitter. I'm not on the list. I'm not sure which bothers me more, that I'm not on the list or that Robert Scoble is number 5 on the list.
Yeah.
I don't even.
He's still a thing, huh?
Okay, how did they do that list? That's my real question.
I believe it's ranked in order of pomposity.
Uh-oh. Then we shouldn't want to be on the list.
I never claimed to want to be on the list. You'll notice I've never promoted this anywhere.
No, and I don't normally say anything about lists, whether I'm on them or not, because you know, you're on it for the time being, and then you're off it. But they used a company called Peer Index to rank for the most influential people of Twitter. Peer Index it's just like Clout, right? Assigns each user a score of 0 to 100 by analyzing the speed and quantity with which users spot and reshare their tweets.
I see.
So
if I understand my rating correctly, it's basically the same report card I used to get in school, which is like, he's got a good personality, but he could try a little harder.
Yeah. You know, everybody on this show, everybody listening to this show has that report card. So don't celebrate anything.
Seems distracted with the topic du jour.
Yeah. You're number 28 on the list, by the way. Congratulations. You did beat out Mary Jo Foley.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just a little farther down here. I'll just scroll down. Just a little bit down here. There's Tom Merritt. Yep. Renee Ritchie.
It was like an annoyance index.
Number 45. You have a PI of 90. Whatever that is.
Leo, I'm going to get in the top 10, and then I'm just going to quit Twitter.
Number 1, it's kind of appropriate. The guy, a naked woman hanging on to Richard
Is that
Branson.
woman?
No, number 1, Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter. Number 2.
Yeah, I see him on Twitter all the time.
Yeah, no, he doesn't tweet. Jeremiah Oyang.
Yep, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Aaron Levie of Box.
No idea.
Om Malik, the Yoda of tech.
I've heard his name only because he talks about it so much.
Number 5, Robert Scoble.
Yep, there he is. At least he's not a shower pitcher.
I like it that Scoble beat out Elon Musk. And
Elon Musk, as he appears in the show Archer.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's an Archer style illustration. God, I want one of those.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd give up my place on the list. There's
when we do the new Avatar things, let's do Archer style.
Should
avatars.
we do? Should we? I can ask Snaggy to do that.
You do like we call it Twit Vice.
Nitro-Zach, who does all of the portraits on our album art, could easily do that style. I betcha. What happened? I got Walt Mossberg in your place. Dave Weiner, Paul Graham. That's kind of interesting. Tim O'Reilly, way down at 19. And Chris Hadfield, the former astronaut. It helps to be a former astronaut. Anyway, I don't. The list makes no sense at all. It's completely random. But I congratulate you and Andy Anako and Renee Ritchie, the two of you. Many of our hosts got on that list somehow.
So, exactly.
Somehow.
There's some randomly generated number.
Let us talk about Windows. There are so many things to say today. I know the chat room is very excited because today's the day.
Yeah.
Windows Phone 8.1 Dev Preview arrives.
So let's I say we just hold that one off for last then.
Okay. Bury the
just
lead.
mess with these people.
Paul, bury the lead, Thurrott.
I got some Xbox stuff I want to talk about.
You could do Hadoop first.
There is a new Xbox. I was greeted this morning by a 400 megabyte plus download.
Yep.
My Xbox.
Do you like the fact that the $500 supercomputer in your living room can't just do that in the background overnight while you're sleeping?
I'm wondering, why do I have to say okay? I guess
it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah. Think for yourself,
anyway.
Xbox One.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You're smarter than I am.
Yeah.
You know, clean the dishes while you're doing that.
Hadoop showed up in another spot. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I was just reading about Hadoop.
It's like in a Dr. Seuss book, like Horton Hears a Who.
Hadoop will be talked about later on this episode.
Okay. Okay. I saw somebody who uses Hadoop in a surprising context.
You were at a Starbucks.
Yeah, Leo, it was called a dream.
Oh, maybe it could have been. I do wake up and go, Hadoop. Oh.
It was like it just blurted out when you went,
Hadoop.
Guys, a day without Hadoop is like a day without sunshine.
Lisa keeps saying, who is this Hadoop? And should I worry about her?
You keep whispering her name in your sleep.
Hadoop. Are you in love with a strange Armenian woman named Hadoop? So Windows Phone 8.1 Dev Preview. Is this one that if you're doing that little trick that you can get on your phone now? Okay.
Yep.
No wonder the excitement.
Yes.
You betcha. Actually, Monday was spent largely upgrading every single one of my 217 Windows Phone handsets. Mostly very successfily, I would say.
Does this relieve you of any non-disclosure agreements you may or may not have had?
Yes.
Can I now reveal what good boy and girl you were because you were sitting at the table with me?
Yep. I almost had to physically slap down Daniel Rubino, which I have to say, I kind of wanted to.
He was all about, because all three of you received Windows 8.1 handsets at Build, and he was all about to talk about it, and you said, Daniel. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. You got them, but you weren't allowed to talk about them. But that's good because that means you've had a couple of weeks now to play with them.
Yep.
Impressions. How's Cortana?
Mary Jo
I want to say something about Cortana because I remember on the show that we did at the Brick House, I was saying, I don't know about this Cortana thing. I think it's going to be kind of creepy and not thinking I'll turn that on. I've been liking it more.
She broke Alex's phone. She just smashed it in a little piece.
Oh, what? No, she had a fit and just like
something else.
On the ground.
Did you give this to Liz again?
Yeah, that's a Liz.
That looks like Liz did that, huh?
It looks like.
Oh,
you haven't ever used Cortana because it's asking for your permission.
This is a fresh phone for you to play with.
Oh, this is a fresh phone for me to play with.
Oh, nice.
Oh, neat. Okay, so go ahead, Mary Jo, and I'll play along while you talk.
You know what? Cortana for me, it's not like some wow, I can't live without it kind of a feature, but it is useful for doing things that would take extra steps to do. You know, like you can say to it, hey, I want to wake up in 20 minutes so I can be on Windows Weekly.
I use that kind of you nap before the show.
We're kind of hoping you don't have that exact reminder.
No, I use that frequently on Android. That is you're right. It's the kind of thing you could easily do, but it saves steps.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's still a beta. Cortana's still a beta, so there's some weird things that happen sometimes when you try to tell it to do things. Like for some crazy reason, it thinks rattle and hum is my home. I don't know why.
It's not
actually,
alone, Mary Jo.
I would
Wait a
say
minute. This is funny. It says when you started, I'm absorbing the entire internet.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Type your name. Can I type my name?
Yeah, do whatever you want with it.
He says, do whatever you want. He's moved on from this. This is an 8X, isn't it? Yeah. Is this right? Hear how I'll say it. Here's how it's going to say my name. Let me turn it up here.
Leo.
Yeah, that sounds right. Not too hard. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm just messing around while you're talking.
So yeah, it's been somewhat helpful. It's not killer for me. It's funny because you can ask it funny questions.
Right.
Like who's your daddy?
Right.
And Bill Gates. Right.
So then, so at the beginning it says, here, what are a couple of the most enjoyable parts of your everyday evenings? Pick two. I do like cooking something.
This is wrong.
I like watching something.
Right.
I like, but wait, but there's
specific what
more.
your
I like,
watching habits?
yeah, I don't know what I'm watching. I like being online.
You got to do the top two.
Hanging out. I like,
I know. Too many choices, right?
and all of them are good. I'm going to take cooking. Well, so I'm going to presume that this is going to, in some way, what is this going to do?
Well, it's for personalization purposes.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Interests, as they call it.
if I say, well, I'm going to pick the two things I do the most, I guess. What do you think about food? What's most important to you these days? What's healthiest? That's right. I don't think about food. I'd rather think about wine. There's not beer, though, right?
I know. They need to add the beer option for that.
That it matches my dietary preferences. What's healthiest and most delicious, I'm going to say. What are two of your main motivations for going out to an event or activity? I enjoy quality entertainment.
Sure. You don't go to all those Medea movies.
Yeah. Gosh, I love those. Being able to compete. Impressing someone I care about.
I want to make someone cry.
This feels like more like the Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory, actually. Are they going to make some... This worries me a little bit. This is awfully personal.
This is... she is billed as a personal assistant.
Right.
Right? And I think when you think of it in that context, it sort of makes sense.
I only get to one section of news?
First,
can
which
add
one do you
more
go
later.
Which one do I go first?
They don't have the comics in there?
There's no hope of catching up is one of the sections.
Wow.
That's pretty...
You'll start getting ads for like funeral homes.
That's very despairing.
Mental health facilities.
When you want to catch up on what's going on in the world, which section do you go to first? There's no hope of catching up is one of the choices. I got to select that. I don't know what I'm going to get.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Health
So
headlines.
it gave me health
Mental health
headlines.
headlines.
Yeah. Tap the notebook icon at the top of your screen to see your interests, reminders, and everything else. Okay, so this would then do something. Okay. Yay, it's Leo. How can I help? Get me directions to Times Square.
Leo, you seem depressed. How can I help?
There's no hope of catching up. Get me Where am I? Hello.
Jeez. Wow, you're all over the map, as was suggested by your personality profile.
All she has to do is look at my screen. Oh, good. P. Diddy coming home lyrics. That's good. That's good.
Well, so no, this was not. In other words, when she can't answer the question, you get
She
Bing
does a
search
web
results.
search. Yeah, just like every other.
Yep.
Okay.
Where am I?
I can't say for sure, but you're likely at 170 Heller Street in Petaluma.
It's within 30.
Close.
Close enough. That's pretty typical. I wouldn't expect more accuracy than that. So that's neat. So you can then go back in here and refine your selections in Cortana's notebook. Interests, remind me, quiet hours, inner circle places, music searches, and settings. So that's nice. And you find now that you've used it for a while, did it smarten?
I was wondering how you were going to answer that.
Maybe. At first, when I was
You
using
ever read
it,
the story Flowers for Algernon?
You know the little suggestions that you get underneath, like try asking Cortana this or that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it was saying to me, "Do you want to schedule surfing on your calendar?" And I'm like, "Wow, Cortana does not know me."
She doesn't ask you that anymore, though, right?
No, now she says, "Do you want local bars?" So I think there is some intelligence there.
She knows an alcoholic when she sees one.
Nice.
But I wanted her to say
Wow.
something like craft beer bars, but you can't,
Right. Well, hey, you can't have everything.
no, you can't have everything.
Sing
yeah,
me.
See,
I'm using it-
I don't personally like Cortana, and
You don't
it's not
at all?
Cortana per se. I just think this kind of thing is,
It's gimmicky,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, there you go. That's a great word for it. Yep.
But you know what? This is what Windows Phone might need. They might need some gimmicks.
Gimmicks
to-
don't
so,
hurt. Yeah.
Like normal people, not people like us, but people who just are in a phone store and they're like, "Oh, there's this cool thing, Cortana." I mean, she's even been on Arsenio Hall and stuff. So, I mean, people are starting to know about
when you
it.
first tap it, it doesn't. I guess this is their equivalent of Google now. It doesn't give you an immediate speech interface. It tells you the news based on what you talked about. So global news, political. I guess I opted out by saying I can't catch up.
This is kind of hard to explain because most people never even saw this. But in Windows Phone 8, you would get to the Bing screen
Right.
when you press that search button, not to this new screen.
Right.
And that interface in Windows Phone 8, and that was a new feature in Windows Phone 8, actually had multiple pages. You could kind of scroll through them.
Right.
And so that stuff you see there is sort of like those multiple pages. It's basically another way to display that information.
Right.
Plus, you also get two different views of Cortana depending on how you activate it. So if you hit the tile that's on the screen, you get that list like that. But
That's
if you
the
hit
tile,
the
yeah.
search button,
Ah.
you get her talking to you and expecting you to talk.
That's better, actually. Okay. I like having the choice. That's nice.
Well, I mean, that stuff
You
is
can
still
type
there.
or
So if
talk.
you scroll up,
Yeah.
if you scroll there, you'll see the
it's still there. It's just it
it's still there.
goes
It's
right
just
to the
hidden
top.
a little bit.
I like that. Okay, so that makes sense. So the tile is to bring you to that news interface, and then the search button, which is obscured on this phone by the shattered glass,
by the list.
will bring you to that. That's nice.
Yeah.
How can I get my Windows Phone repaired? Oh, is it listening?
You have to hit
No,
the
you gotta-
microphone.
I think because you've been scrolling around. So if you tap the microphone button at the bottom.
So if I go from search, it doesn't immediately
There's a trick to that. Press and hold.
No, it does.
press and hold, and it does it. Okay. How can I get my screen repaired on this Windows Phone? Question mark.
I like that it added question mark.
I'm used to saying things like question mark. Okay. So, but this does. Here's how do I fix my cracked screen? It did give me some searches.
Yeah.
Sing me a song.
I can sing this one. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes
It's Irish.
are calling.
She actually has a nice voice. Lots better than Siri. Huh. All right. But after the gimmicks wear off, and
You stop using it. Or I do.
Okay, you've had it long enough to know. You don't use it anymore, huh? All right.
I kind of knew it was going to work out that way for me. Personally, I do agree that this kind of thing is important to have because everyone else has it and people see that and they think it's desirable. And certainly Microsoft does a really good job with that kind of Bing integration and everything. And I'm sure it will work out for some people. But I always find with voice command of any kind that it always falls short at some point. You know, at some point you start typing again and touching the screen and you're not, it's not Star Trek. You know, we're not going to have a conversation with it. It's not going to run off and go do stuff for you unless it's very simple and, very easy to understand.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's just frustrating.
How about you,
It's
Mary
not
Jo?
Cortana's fault. It's not like it's lacking. It's just
No, it's just
way
the
things
nature
are.
of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
I also don't feel comfortable talking to my phone outside of my house.
Hey, you're in New York. Everybody does that.
I know. There's so many nuts walking around
Right.
talking to themselves here,
Right.
but I still feel like I should try not to be one of them.
That's going to, I think that's going to change over time as more and more people talk to their phones. Yeah. I do that a lot now. And I'm not nearly so self-conscious. You just hold it like this. And, so many people are on their phone talking like this, which I
True.
don't understand. I think that's the Kim Kardashian effect. We've talked about that before.
Actually, you know what kind of, maybe you can explain this one to me. This is semi-related. Apple has popularized these white headphones that have a little microphone in the line.
Yeah.
And I see everyone. As soon as I say this, you're going to say, yes, I see this all the time, which is someone will have their headphones in and they're talking on the phone and they're holding the little microphone up closer to the mouth.
Right.
How do they know to do that? Like, what, how do you know that you're not loud enough on the other end?
You don't, and you just presume.
Well, why do you do that? Why would you do that?
Well, it just
don't you think they built it close enough to be next to your mouth?
Can't possibly work hanging there.
Really? I
do the same thing. I do that.
You do. So you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. And probably it sounds,
It sounds like this because you're holding it up close.
Right, because your finger's moving on it and you're bunching, bumping it up against stuff.
But who really talks on the phone anymore these days?
It's so true.
That's a fair point.
Really?
Actually, they're probably talking to Siri.
We're a bad example because we don't have any friends. But even non-geeks, I don't know. Do people still talk on the phone?
Yeah, they do. You hear them in places in New York very loudly.
Those are the people with the feature phone. Those are the people with the Nokia phones. They're using them as phones still.
Yeah.
Right.
They can't. Yeah. All right. So there's the Cortana story.
Right.
And I think that's not any different than anybody else's experience on any platform, that these speech things are a little gimmicky.
Yeah.
But you got to have it to have parity. And so even if Microsoft thought they were gimmicky, they'd still kind of say, well, but we have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think it's somewhat notable that arguably the top two features in Windows Phone 8.1 are features that have been on other platforms for years. And I say that with the understanding that I actually think Windows Phone has been well ahead of the other platforms in many areas. But it's interesting that in these two, the other one being the notification center, these are areas where Windows Phone has lagged behind. And I assume that the original plan for Windows Phone was that a notification center was not required because they had live tiles, and apps could individually update you, on this kind of more expansive face that they have. But the failing of live tiles is that live tiles can be off the screen. You might not see them because they could be down somewhere near the bottom. So they could be updating you, but you'll never even see it.
Right. And
of course, in some cases, you don't have that app pinned to the start screen anyway, so it can't provide live updates. And as the Windows Phone ecosystem has grown, 245,000 apps and millions of users and everything. I mean, I think that initial system, while reasonable for the day, all of 2 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, has kind of fallen under its own weight. And so this centralized notification center is, to me, easily the best feature in Windows Phone 8.1.
It's funny because this started in Android. It was an early feature in Android. Apple copied it.
Yep.
And now
Microsoft's copied it.
But
so,
you know what? It is.
You know what?
It's got to be a standard. This works.
You
It's a
need
good.
it.
It's you need it. It's a good system.
It works great.
So they have
It's
the quick settings up at the top here. I don't have any notifications, but if it did, they'd show up here. And I presume that's text messages.
And it works
if your
great.
apps are updated, it tells you they were updated, which is
That's
useful.
a good place to do that.
The other thing that's neat about it is it integrates with the live updating functionality of the tiles. And so if you bring down the notification center and it says, hey, you have 3 new text messages and they're from these 3 people. If you dispense with the notification from the notification center, the live tile for the messaging app no longer has the number 3 on it. It also gets cleared out.
Interesting.
And so they're integrated in that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's smart.
What else is what are some of the, so we've got Cortana, we've got notifications.
Yep.
What else?
You know what I like, and Paul made fun of me for liking this feature, but I like that you can have the photo as your background behind the start screen.
So this is one of the stock photos.
You made fun of me. You said me and teenagers were going to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I
This
did.
is beautiful. Isn't that neat? So this is like wheatgrass cut off at the top. And it's just, of course, Microsoft chose this picture to really work.
Well, there's another problem, though, and that is that the screen you're looking at happens to be well formed for that kind of display.
Right.
And by that, I mean the tiles that you've used in their positions
That's right.
Are not opaque, and you can see through them.
Right.
But when I look at my own start screen, a lot of the tiles that I see have custom displays that are opaque and hide that image.
Right.
And so I can scroll up and down on the screen, and you don't see anything because that stuff is not peeking through.
Right.
And so you really have to make an effort to use the right tile sizes, tile layouts.
Totally screwed it up now. I have black holes here which don't show the background, which is odd.
Right. It only comes through on the tiles, and only on those tiles that have that transparency.
So that isn't really
So, for example, that music
ideal.
tile is one that has an opaque display.
Right.
It's not coming through.
Right.
And so if you have a bunch of those next to each other, like I do,
You know,
that effect is not as interesting.
So you're going to spend some time, maybe an excessive amount of time, messing with your display so that it looks good with the background.
I guarantee you that my kids in particular will spend hours at this, and will be changing that image every 30 seconds to try to find.
Mary Jo and I will.
I know.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's nice. No, it is nice.
Yeah.
So I agree. Okay,
And-
there's 3. What else?
Yeah, there's a brand new app in the store that I saw through WP Central. It's a clock hub tile. So if you have the HTC 8X, you've always been able to have this clock display tile.
Right.
And I always miss that. Now I just put that on my screen. It's opaque, and it's awesome. I like having the clock in a big format on my screen. I know. I'm easily amused.
I'm not sure that's technically a Windows Phone 8.1 feature, Mary Jo.
No, come on.
Is it an app? I don't see it. Is it an app?
You guys, it's called the Clock Hub.
Yeah.
Clock Hub.
Can you
I
guys
haven't
see
seen
my
it.
screen?
I don't
And it
see
looks
my Clock
exactly
Hub.
like the HTC clock.
Oh, look at your pretty icon. Ooh, and I mean by that, I mean the
okay, so actually the nice thing about
Nokia
that
icon
app is that tile is transparent.
Yeah.
Right.
So your image does.
I said opaque. I meant transparent. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
So that's
fair.
cool. And so you put all your transparent tiles higher up so you can see your image if you
Yeah.
care. It's kind of, it's whatever it is.
No,
but it makes
that's
it
nice.
fun. It makes your screens more individual. And so not everybody's Windows Phone looks the exact same.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the ability now to sync those settings between your Windows PCs and tablets and the phone is interesting. And so that image doesn't come through, although it should when you think about it. But if you change your color, you have to enable this. But if you change your color scheme in Windows Phone, it will change the color scheme that you have in Windows on your desktop PC or your tablet, which I found out to my chagrin. As all my PCs started changing, But that's kind of neat if you want that. And some of the settings that they sync are far more valuable than that, like Wi-Fi network settings, Internet Explorer passwords and favorites, and tabs and things like that. And so they're starting to turn on that cross-platform sync stuff, which I think is pretty huge.
So Mary Jo, you have the Nokia icon on Verizon.
I do.
Paul, what do you like? What do you carry?
Well, I mean, we all got the same test device, but as of Monday, we could install this on any device. And so I put it on not all of my phones, but many of my phones. And the thing, actually, I have to say, for people with an existing non-1080p phone, which is every Windows phone except for the Lumia 1520, the Lumia Icon, and that might be it. I mean, I think it's just, and maybe one or two others. You couldn't get this kind of high density of tiles on the screen. And now on every other phone, including the lowliest phones, like the Lumia 520 or the Lumia 620, you can turn on more tiles. And you can get up to, I guess it's 6 of the smallest tiles across the top instead of, I think it was 4 before. And that is, it's, what was the Apple thing? It's like getting a new phone in your phone. I mean, it really transforms the device. My 1020 previously looked really low res because the icon, the tiles were so huge. And now you can turn on this new thing where it just looks beautiful again. It's like it's brand new again. And so, I mean, I'm who knows, 2 days from now, I'll switch phones again like I always do. But the 1020 I've been using as my primary phone since I got it last July. I mean, this has given it a new lease on life.
Okay. Continuing on, new
the calendar.
features.
We
The
have to talk about the new calendar.
I like the new calendar,
A
actually.
new calendar is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I like that you can integrate weather with it. Another little who really cares? But it's kind of useful.
Well, something that a lot of others calendars have had in the past. So I see my calendar tile. I'll tap that. There's a calendar, little weather icons in it. Those are nice. Yeah.
Yep.
What else do you
The
like
best thing about the calendar, though, is if you tap on a day.
Okay.
And what it does now is it kind of expands in place.
Yeah. And
so you're not always
that
going
all
back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And I like
You know
that
what?
kind
That's
of thing.
nice. You know what?
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
really
Elegant.
Yep.
Okay. Can I add calendar appointments with Cortana? Can I say, Cortana, I want to have lunch with Mary Jo on Friday?
Yes.
And it will know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's good. I use that actually a lot, mostly at the hairdresser.
Ready?
Yeah, I don't. That's the only appointment I have all month.
There's a if you want to do one more Cortana trick, there's an Easter egg in Cortana.
Okay, tell me, do.
Say, do you like Clippy?
Do you like Clippy?
What's not to like? That guy took a heck of a beating, and he's still smiling.
Aw, what's not
And
to
now
like?
look at Cortana.
Wait a minute.
Change.
Go back to the
She
desktop?
turns into Clippy.
On the
Watch,
desktop?
do it again. No, stay on your screen there.
Okay.
Ask it again and watch. Watch the little
Do you
circle.
like Clippy?
What's not to like? That guy took a heck of a beating, and he's still smiling.
Oh! There's a little Clippy. Can I
a
keep
little
that? I want it.
No, sadly you can't, I don't think.
That's cute.
Cute.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Easily amused, we
Yeah.
all are.
Yes.
Well, actually, so you get you can that screen you're looking at right there, for example, is the low res type screen.
The home
so
screen.
Go
Yeah,
to
this is the 8X, right?
Yeah, hit the settings button at the top, the gear thing,
Okay.
and then the very top one is start and theme. So tap on that.
Yeah.
Then at the
And I'm
bottom, you'll
using
see
the-
a show more tiles. Scroll down.
Show more tiles on.
Yeah, turn that on.
Now I can really have some tile-ific.
Yeah, now go back to start.
Yeah.
And what you'll see is that everything is jammed up on the left because they retain your.
Oh, but I can
retain
add
the
tiles
layout.
here to this new area.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what? I like the
it's
smaller,
weird how-
even on this
I do
screen.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on a
I do too.
1080p screen, do you get what, a lot more or what?
No, the 1080p you cannot customize that. It's set to whatever it is.
Okay.
But even on the 520, which is a very small screen, this kind of thing really
No, this
it
is
just
great.
makes the screen more useful.
These tiles are big enough. I don't need them to be much bigger, especially because it's pretty obvious what they are.
I just find the old style to be like it just looks too. It's like it's like big and weird looking. You know.
Yeah. So the reason I asked you what phones you have is because I now really have to replace one of my phones with a Windows phone. I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, I honestly I think the icon is.
Yeah, the icon's a good phone.
But that's
Probably the
Verizon
best
only, right? Is that the same as the 1520? No, the same as the 925.
930.
No,
No, it's not the same as
930,
anything.
which
Only
930,
Verizon.
which doesn't
which would work on
exist yet.
AT&T.
It would work on AT&T. I just replaced the SIM. Okay. Okay. I'll have to decide. I was thinking T-Mobile, but they only have like the 925. Can I get an unlocked something or other? That's when I get the 1020. You probably use your 1020 on T-Mobile, right, Paul? No.
I use it on AT&T, but yeah, you could use that. Not right now. They're not out yet, but the 930 will be out sometime in the next month, and I'm sure you can get one unlocked on Expanses or whatever, and use it wherever.
Okay.
You want,
Is that what you would recommend? I'm thinking I like that
Well,
1020 camera. I don't know.
because you need it on T-Mobile.
No, I could have it on AT&T. I have space on AT&T.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I think the choice in AT&T would be between the 1020 and the 1520, which is a giant.
I don't know if I want that. That is so freaking big, and I
still find that so. I find it horrifically big. I'm amazed at how many people keep coming to me and saying, "Yeah, you don't understand why you don't like this thing. You have huge hands. It's so beautiful." And it's like, well,
but it's 6 inches.
It's so huge.
I like that phone actually, but I only would ever use it with two hands. So, yeah.
Well, you have to. You probably couldn't even pick it up with one hand. It's like
It's
like
not that
those
heavy
gigantic-
though. It distributes the weight very well. That
Yeah,
that
I did.
1520.
It's too big.
It says the 20 megapixel camera.
It
Yeah,
does.
it's
But
the
one
same
is the
exact camera
icon.
that's in the icon.
So
Right.
It's pretty good. That's a pretty good camera.
It is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The camera's great.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get one of these. It's awfully big, but then I'll have more fun with my photos.
Yeah.
You can watch movies more easily.
And
read
People
Kindle
think you're taking them
books.
on an iPad.
Post to Instagram. It'll be great. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the keyboard though, Paul? I'm curious what you
Yeah,
think.
swipe
So it has
the-
this new capability called shape writing.
Can I?
right?
Oh,
Is that
I
right?
love it. See, I use that on every other phone. Not every other. On my Android phones.
Right.
I'm not
it's-
used to it yet, so I'm very clumsy with it. I need a
I'm
little
not
more
either.
time. on it.
Geez, I'm so untrusting of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
The
let me-
truth
let me
is, it
play with
works
it.
great.
Yeah.
The problem is, a lot of the typing that I have to do on my phone is like me typing in a password or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to use it for that. Right?
No.
Yeah.
So you still have to like hut and peck on password entry. But that said, I've tested it on email messages, on text messages, and it is almost like magical in its ability to figure out what you're typing. You know,
I use this all the time. It's the same as Swipe or
Right.
actually all Android keyboards, including Google's own, now have this. HTC's has this. But if you
People
haven't
who
been
use
using
this
it,
swear by it and can't understand why anyone would use anything else.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, you don't tap because these targets are
Yeah.
small.
Yeah. I got to get used to it. I've tried a couple things and I was like,
It takes some getting used to, and I can't claim that I'm completely used to it, but it's I do think it's one of the big deals, in this release, absolutely. And actually, you could chalk this one up: Action Center, the swipe style keyboard, and Cortana voice control, all features that were somewhere else, you know, first.
They're
It's such a
playing.
weird
Let's
place to
face it,
be,
they're
but-
playing catch up, and still, which is unfortunate. I mean, at some point, will they catch up?
I mean, I honestly think they were ahead in other areas, and that this absolutely introduces a sense of parity.
Yeah.
I think the other ones we didn't talk about, we have before, though, are all the enterprise features that get added with this release, right? So you get VPN,
That's
SMIME
nice.
encryption, mobile
That's
device
nice.
management.
Yeah.
So that actually is really great because, as I said before on the show, a lot of people said, I'd love to have Windows Phone in the workplace, but it's missing basic things like VPN.
Yeah.
And now
this has been a weird black mark on Windows Phone that, you know, they don't fully support all of the Exchange Active Sync policies, and now they have MDM, but that were supported previously on the Android and iPhone. And it just didn't make any sense. You know, even in the last release, I think it was, when they added device encryption, they didn't add it for storage devices like micro SD. And it's like, guys, seriously,
Right.
like, you know, they just, you know, I think again with this one, they've you know, basically caught up.
Right.
It's so weird that Microsoft didn't have the enterprise stuff from day one, but
Yeah, they decided they wanted to make a phone that appealed to consumers. So they just said, well, you know what, we'll figure out the enterprise stuff later, which was crazy because that was the big success story for Windows Mobile, right? It was the enterprise.
yep.
So I'm
It's not a
thinking,
choice.
should I wait for a Windows 8.1 native phone or just get the
So-
existing ones?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
On AT&T, the chances of you getting a new Windows Phone 8.1 device, like especially from Nokia, anytime in the next couple months is pretty slim.
Right.
I think because of the purchase and all the stuff that's
I'm
going
just
on
going
there.
to buy it unlocked. I mean, it's not that expensive. I'm looking at 1520. It's $529
Yeah.
unlocked for 32.
And that device supports micro SD expansion, which is great because some Lumias don't, which I don't
Right.
understand. Including,
By the way, you can
the
put apps on the SD card now with 8.1, right?
Yep. Yep.
I think that's a big deal.
I know.
And do they work well?
I have not tested that yet, so I can't really say,
Yeah.
but I would imagine so. I can't imagine that the internal storage on a Windows Phone is any faster than a good micro SD card.
So the 1520 is the ginormous one,
Yep.
but it has the same camera as you have in your icon, which you like.
Yep.
I'm gonna get
When I
this
tested
one.
this camera, this phone, I found that the pictures this thing took were better than the 1020.
And this is 1080p, and you know it's an 800 Snapdragon 800, and yeah, all right, I'm buying that one. In other words, you don't see it.
a good
You
one.
don't know of. Well, yeah, okay, if you know of something coming, but you can't talk about it, tug your ear. But if you don't,
No, we don't.
You
We
don't. You really
don't.
No,
You're
because
not, you're not
this is
holding
what,
out on.
no, we can be very open about this. You know, there were phones that were rumored to be coming soon, and all of them but one have just been announced. The one that hasn't been announced is not going to ship until probably next year or very late this year because it relies on features that didn't make it into Windows Phone 8.1. The phones they just introduced, obviously the Verizon icon, and then the what's the non-Verizon icon version, the 930
930.
for
yeah,
international markets.
right. It's for international, and we don't even know when that's coming to a U.S. carrier, right? The 930, or if it is.
I heard never.
Or
Is
never.
What they said.
Yeah.
They basically
Well,
said the
I can
Foxconn
speed
is the
things
focus
along
of
because
this.
as soon as I press the buy button, it'll be announced, right?
There you go. I wish
Okay.
you would do that because I was a little disappointed it wasn't something going at AT&T.
Now, somebody's saying in the chat room that the 1520 does not support wireless charging. I guess I can live with that.
That might be true on AT&T, but I believe it does actually natively. If it doesn't, there's
okay, well, I'm getting an unlocked, European.
I wouldn't. By the way, I would not get it because of that.
No, it's nice, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
don't
like the
even
icon,
use-
for example. Sorry.
I don't use the wireless charging on my icon.
No, I don't. Wireless charging is probably overrated. It's something nice about it, though. You can just, and on a big one, like with the Note 3 I actually added wireless charging because then I put it in a dock right in front of me, and it's so big, it's actually like a little photo. I use it as a photo display doing a slideshow in front of me, so it's kind of cool.
I have at least 5 ways I can wirelessly charge things, and I have to say the Nokia version, sadly, are not great. And if you are not centered directly on the device correctly, it beeps a lot.
Right.
Or you'll get up in the morning and go to take it and it's not charged.
Is it Qi compatible? It is Qi, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, so this is the one I'm going to recommend that you get. This I agree with you. I've never found anything that charges well except this.
Oh, okay, but I did find. Oh, that. Okay, that's actually excellent.
This is the Tilt, and it's really hard not to do it right. And in fact, it's great for a large thing because it's an easel.
So oddly enough, Google sells one for the Nexus phones.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
And the previous version, the Nexus,
it would slide off
4,
of.
Say.
It was,
well, no, actually, see, to me, those actually stick pretty well.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, it's like a ball.
Yeah.
With a slice taken out of it.
Have they fixed it? Because the one I had, the Nexus 4 would just slide off of it.
No, I mean, for me, it's the only one that works.
Oh, all right.
Consistently, so
maybe you keep yours stickier.
I don't know. Of course, I'm looking because it's probably slid off while we're talking. I believe it works well.
All right. What else is?
Oh, we should talk about the decoupling of the hubs from the apps, Paul.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and this is the potentially negative thing. Although I think, like everything else in life, there are pros and cons.
I
right?
actually am happy they're doing this. I'm not sad.
I think overall it's the right decision. Yeah.
So you know how with Windows Phone now, there's integration like in the People Hub that lets you see Twitter and Facebook statuses,
yeah.
right? They're taking that away, and you're going to have a separate Facebook app.
It's like your dog has to be put down.
They're taking it away. Yeah, all right.
I'm just saying it quickly to minimize.
It's going to a farm. It will be happier.
Yeah. So you're gonna have apps instead, just like they're doing with Xbox Music as well, right? It's not going to be an integrated part of the OS anymore. There's the separate app like we have now. I actually am happy because I didn't use a lot of this integration myself, and I think because I have a lot of Twitter buddies, I didn't turn that on, and it was going to be too overwhelming for me. But I know other people who said that was an absolute differentiator for Windows Phone compared to other phones, this whole hub model. And it feels like now Microsoft's undoing that basically and saying we're going to go to an app model because that way we don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for us to update the OS to get the latest Facebook or the latest Twitter features.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is what happened. So, they, again, give you some classic examples of problems. They added Facebook integration into the People Hub in the very first version of Windows Phone. It's been there ever since. So you can do things like post to Facebook, put a picture on Facebook, check in to a location. But here's what you couldn't do. Check in other people like you can in the Facebook app. Right. So there's a feature that Facebook added the day after Windows Phone came out, and it never gets updated in Windows Phone because it's part of the OS. And so the problem with these built-in OS features is they can never be updated. And so if you take that stuff out and you put it into separate apps, then it becomes a situation where you can update. And and there was a lot of stuff they just never did. The music and video hub that was in Windows Phone until this version, which is now split into 4 separate apps. Had some kind of hook in it for third-party apps, but at best all you would do is launch another music app from within that hub. It was kind of useless. There was no real integration. Same thing with the Photos app. You could or the Photos hub. You could obviously connect to OneDrive. That was automatic. You could connect to Facebook, and that was it. There was no other Twitter, maybe, I don't know, but there was no other, if you used Flickr or maybe you used some other photo service, whatever it was, there was no way to integrate that into the hub. Oddly enough, that one, I think they're adding in this version, but the whole system, it was one of those things like, it sounds like such a great idea, but in practice, it kind of broke down,
Yep.
But there are bad sides to it too. So remember, like the messaging app, you could actually use for Facebook messaging, for Messenger messaging, for Skype messaging, for instant messaging, obviously, I should say MMS or SMS messaging. And now in the new version of Windows Phone, you can only use it for text messaging. That's it. It doesn't work with Skype, doesn't work with Messenger, doesn't work with Facebook. It's just a messenger app, or messaging, I should say, messaging app.
But the People Hub seems to be pretty much the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I like the People. I always thought the People Hub was the most useful of the hubs.
Yeah, I mean, it still aggregates accounts, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are the other hubs? There's music.
No, that's gone.
Games, right?
Games Hub is still there.
Games still
Yeah.
there.
By the way, completely unchanged, and that's a weird one because when you look at that hub, it looks like it's the same. It's got that gray color scheme, which is the old-fashioned style. It's the same thing in Windows 8.1 on the desktop, where all of those apps have been updated, all the Xbox apps, except for that one.
Yeah.
And by the way, no Xbox One in there at all. So if you played Xbox One games, they're not in there.
What?
And that hasn't been updated.
That's going to be temporary, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm thinking
Oh,
the Xbox Games app on phone and desktop is going to be completely revamped. Like it's just overdue.
Yeah. And then there's the Office Hub. That also remained unchanged, right?
Yeah, completely unchanged. But well, except it says OneDrive now.
Right.
But I think the rationale there is that universal app version of Office Touch will be coming and will work on Windows Phone.
Right.
Right. So why even bother?
Don't
There's going to
update
be an
that.
awesome
Yeah.
version of Office this year.
Bing's been removed from the news, sports, finance, and weather apps. Bing name.
The name.
Yeah, just
the name Bing.
Bing's still there. Yeah.
Same thing with the Xbox name too. So games, music, and video are just that.
games,
They're not
music,
Xbox.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's because that's how people think of them, right?
Yeah, you don't
I
think
don't think
Xbox
people-
video. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Except
my guess.
Xbox is such a good brand
there's
for them,
Xbox.
right? Kind of.
It's just not in the app, but I see it here at the
Yeah.
top.
It's by the way, this is also how it works in Windows 8.1. But I think I don't think anyone uses these things. I mean, I think Mary Jo and I are like represent 50% of the non-gaming Xbox user base. Like I just don't think a lot of people use that stuff.
Well, for those who are complaining that I'm using a beat-up old 8X, this is Alex Gumpel's kind of beater phone, his secondary phone. I did order a 1520 in bright red, so I should have that for next week. And the reason I thought, I need the 1520 because the bigger display makes it easier for me to show on air.
Yeah.
So, So that, for me, it makes sense.
Oh, we should mention the podcast app. We haven't mentioned that.
Is that new?
It actually works for people outside the U.S., right?
Oh,
yeah. So
me,
they
I like
remember
that.
they had podcasting was in that hub before, and so the 4 components of the hub are now all separate apps. So they have music, they have videos, they have podcasts. They also have FM radio. So if your phone supports an FM radio chip, you can get FM radio as well. The coolest thing about this is if you upgrade, although some people told me differently, but on my phones, it retains all of the podcasts I've already subscribed to.
Yeah, it should.
So it actually brings them over.
Makes
It's
sense. Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah, it makes plenty of sense, but this is Microsoft, so it doesn't always make sense. But yeah, it did actually do that.
It's time for
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be watching another show while I'm doing this show. But that just to prove that it does work.
Yeah.
That's great. That's nice. I mean, you have collections and so it worked always in the U.S., but the international is new.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
That's actually pretty huge. I don't I've
For
never
us, it's
understood
huge.
it. It's never been explained to me why that didn't work before.
Well, now that Rob Greenlee's gone, they can really get it.
Yeah, they can finally move ahead.
Finally step forward.
I saw him answering today on Twitter. Somebody said to him a question about the podcast app, and he said, "You know what? The old podcast app was developed by the Xbox team, and the new one is developed by the Windows Phone team, which is interesting." Yep.
Aha. There are third-party apps you could use, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, there are some good ones.
Do you
on Windows
prefer
Phone.
those or?
I mean, now that this is out, I'm just going to use the built-in one, and because I obviously I'll write a book about this, and I want to cover that, and I find it adequate for my needs. So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited about my new. 8.1 really impressed me in the when they demoed it at Build. I was just really impressed, and I've been waiting till now to order a phone. I was going to get one of the new 8.1 phones, but don't know what those are. But at least I could put
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just saw this
I'm
app,
just
and
blathering. Go ahead.
I will forget. No, I'll just blather over you, I guess.
Okay.
Tell me if you know this, because you of all people on earth would know. Because I use so many devices, and I know you do too, I used to run into problems with certain apps. So, for example, Audible would be a problem. Like I would go to sign into Audible on an app, and
you have
it
a
would
limited
say,
number of
nope,
sign-ins.
you're done. And I'd call them up, and they were always very nice about it. They would reset everything.
Them all. Yep.
I have easily signed into Audible 117 times lately, and they have never.
They may have
I
turned
think the shackles. I think the shackles are off.
I have yet to. You're exactly right.
Right.
But I think the nominal limit was 5 devices, and I would always
it was woefully inadequate.
I would always de-auth. Well, for you and me, not for a normal person.
That's what I meant.
Most people have a tablet and a phone. I mean, that's enough. It doesn't include your desktops or anything or your laptops. So, but yeah, and they would always reset it for me because I try to remember to deauthorize, but I often don't. But I don't think it matters anymore. We'll see.
It works like, well, and I think the same thing on Kindle as well. And that may be related, right? Because they're both on Amazon.
They're both Amazon, yeah.
It seems like you can just stack these things up now, which is great for me because, again, I go from device to device. And in any given week, I may just, pick up this device. I'm going to use this. And it's just such a roadblock to have to think about stuff like that.
Microsoft has a limit, do they not, on the number of phones you can activate with a single account?
Yep, 5.
5.
Yeah.
So that you may run up against.
Also a problem.
Yeah. Ironically, you would think they would say, have as many as you want.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, for me, that's a huge problem. Again, this is one of those, you can't even call this a first world problem. It's just kind of a weird problem. But, when I flew out to San Francisco for Build, something about me being there with my phone, signing into my services, and also devices back home, signing into my services, triggered some kind of a security alert. We think someone has broken into your account. You're going to have to change your password. Oh, and by the way, you can't use a password you've ever used. And so it's all this complicated stuff. So I did that, and it's dual authentication and yada, yada, yada. But of course, I'm only flying with 2 or 3 different devices. What's still happening back home is my wife turns on the Xbox in the living room to work out in the morning. No. It tries to sign in with the wrong thing. I've got phones sitting over. Yeah, so, I mean, it's like this constant cascading series of failures.
Right.
Which, again, I recognize is not a normal problem that most people will run into. So it's not like I'm going to, blast Microsoft for this. But
no, in fact, they're doing the right thing. They're protecting you.
But it's such a pain. It's so awful.
I know.
It's so awful.
No, I did the same thing because of Heartbleed. I changed my, you want trouble. You want trouble. Change your Google password.
Yes.
Holy moly. Holy guacamole.
You don't realize like how many things this is connected to.
Everything.
Until you like sever the tie.
Everything.
And then the warnings just come from places you forgot existed.
And I had the old one memorized. But now I have it. It's 20 random characters. I got to memorize the new one, and it's going to take me a while.
Actually, between the trip, I went last night to play. We play Xbox with friends up the street once a month. I have an Xbox 360 that's been sitting in a bag because I use the Xbox One now, and brought it out, went in, set it up, we're ready to go. No, your password's incorrect. Oh, and by the way, the password you type into this console is not your real password. You need an app password. And it's like, oh, here we go.
That's what I hate.
Here we go. On a console with a controller, while 8 other 40-year-old guys are looking at you like, you're the Microsoft genius. How come you haven't figured this out? And it's like, just give me a second here. Like, it's so aggravating, like the number of ways that this kind of exposes itself.
New photo app? Photo app updated? Don't mean to change the subject or anything, but it's...
Yes.
I don't want you to have, a stroke.
Stroke. No, Leo, it's good to get it out.
Okay. No, you're right. Yeah. You just seemed like you were turning red.
That's just the Irish. Yeah, so they're still kind of calling it a Photos Hub, but I mean, really, this is just an app, and of course, hubs are apps and all that kind of stuff. But it's not a panoramic experience anymore. You don't have that photo background, and I think this is structured more along the way that a photo app should be on a phone, which is, you've got your on device folders, but you also have access to your online services. And they have, Facebook and OneDrive kind of built in. And I presume that it is extensible now, as it should have always been, so that third parties can write into this, and you could get that Flickr or whatever service you may want in there as well.
Now, let me ask, enough about you.
Okay.
Somebody said maybe you don't want to update right away on the 1520 because this is, after all, a beta of 8.1.
It's not a beta.
It's the final bits.
Only Cortana. Cortana's the beta, but the rest is...
Cortana will always be beta, right? Siri is still beta.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, no,
we should talk about cautions about the developer preview. Most people listening to this show are the kind of people who should and could download the preview, but somebody like me on my regular icon has not. And the reason I haven't is you don't get all the firmware optimizations, and you can't go back to Windows Phone 8.1 once you go to, back to Windows Phone 8 once you go to 8.1, in case you for some reason wanted or needed to do that, right? And now I'm not sure about this last one, but I've heard people say you invalidate your warranty if you do this.
Potentially.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of a gray area.
Yeah. And
let's just say that if you went to AT&T with your Windows Phone 8.1 phone, they would be confused at the very least.
Yeah. And
can you go backwards? Can you restore it?
No.
Ooh.
Right. Once AT&T pushes this update to you on your phone, you won't be out of warranty. But until they do, you're not covered by warranty technically.
So the confusion here is that this is the final, it is the RTM version of the OS. However, there are 3 additional things coming down the pike for most people. By the way, not for all people, but for most phones. And those things are post-RTM fixes that Microsoft and their partners will roll into whatever software update you eventually get. Firmware updates and other applications that come from the handset maker. So, for example, Nokia has already announced, I think they call it Cyan, Lumia Cyan, which is their firmware update that is tied to this release. And of course, Nokia has a bunch of apps, the mapping apps and all that kind of stuff. And then there's the wireless carriers themselves. They like to add software to phones, you may have noticed. And, whenever this thing for this thing to be rolled out officially by the carrier, it would have to include the RTM version of Windows Phone 8.1, the post-RTM fixes, because there's always little problems that come out, once they start distributing it around. Those firmware updates, and then also the wireless carrier updates. And those things are rolled into, that's what you get officially. And so if you update today using that kind of, I don't want to call it a hack because it's officially supported by Microsoft, but this method that we have of, pretending you're a developer and getting that app and getting the update rolling, you're just getting the RTM version of Windows Phone 8.1. So in the future, in Mary Jo's case, if say Verizon in July or at some point starts rolling it out to the icon, if she had updated today, she would still get the update in the future, but it would be the other stuff. It would build on top of what she already has. So she would get those firmware updates, the carrier updates, and the post RTM fixes. So the dangers are, I would say, are semi minimal for most people, and with the caveat that by most people, I mean most people listening to this podcast.
Well, and I'm buying an unlocked non-carrier version.
Yeah, there's no warranty. I mean, you have the warranty through
Nokia,
basically the manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah. And so is Nokia going to push all of this stuff just because I'm not on a carrier? They just push it, right?
That's a good question, Leo. I've never heard that one answered to my satisfaction either.
Do you buy unlocked phones ever?
Yeah.
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 I like to
the
do
theory is that if you have an unlocked phone, you will get those updates as they come out directly from Microsoft. In my experience, I have never seen that.
Oh.
Never seen that. The way that I don't know that I can explain it in any single way. So I've done such things as I have a Lumia 720, which is a device that, to my knowledge, has not been sold in the United States. It's an absolutely fantastic kind of mid-level phone from about a year ago now. I use it on AT&T. I have been upgraded to the latest update. How or when, I cannot explain to you. It seems to be based more on how AT&T does things than on, I certainly didn't get it the day it came out. So I've never experienced that. I mean, there's kind of the theory, and then there's the reality, and I'm not really sure.
When will the official? When is the official 8.1 update?
Who knows?
Well, it's this summer, they're saying.
Oh my God!
And it's so there are going to be new phones coming out first, right? The 930, and the 630, 635, right? Mostly international, and those things kind of come out over some period of time. If you followed, I think update 2 was the one that came out last summer, right? The 1020 shipped first with update 2 pre-installed, and then update 2 went out to phones, I want to say, throughout August and September, I think was the rough time frame off the top of my head. And so I would expect it to kind of mirror that. But like Mary just said, I think, we don't know. But I think most people who read our stuff and listen to this podcast are technically sophisticated enough. It's not like it's difficult. We're not editing a registry or interrupting boot and injecting something in code or whatever. This is it's a Microsoft process. It's very seamless, to be honest. And these things have gone pretty well for people. We did this with update 3, and you'll recall there were no ports of bricked phones or anything like that.
And if anybody puts the developer bits on, they will get updated with the final version, or will it? Because sometimes if you do that, it blocks updates.
No, it won't. Yeah, no problem at all.
No problem.
The way that this worked, actually, there was funny because there was one step Microsoft didn't tell us about, which was there was a prerequisite update. Remember, that in other words, on Monday when they turned the pipes on, you got an update, and if you read the description, I think most people excitedly just hit update now so they could, because it's always so exciting when you get an update on a phone. But if you read the update description, it actually said this is a prerequisite for Windows Phone 8.1, and that took about 20 minutes or whatever to install. It took a while. And once that's installed, you go back, check for updates, or it will happen automatically too. And you get prompted, and then you get 8.1. And that update, depending on your phone and how much you've used it, how much data is on the phone, could take an hour and a half, depending on how clogged up your phone is.
Okay.
I'm tempted to put it on my real icon because you know why?
Oh, you haven't done that yet. You're just using the one they gave you.
You have the review unit and you have yours, right?
I do. Right.
So
and I have to give back the review unit.
Yeah, but not yet. And I would say that so 2 things for you. You could do this easily. This is,
I think I can. I feel confident.
Absolutely could do it. There is some advantage to having the exact same phone with 2 versions of the OS, so you can do the comparison. So
I know, which I keep doing.
Yeah.
The icon is the one phone I've not upgraded for that reason, my own icon, because I want to be able to do that comparison.
Yep.
And I find that to be helpful. So it's just something to think about.
Sure. Good point. I just like having the photo behind the tile thing, and I like as dumb as it sounds, I like that clog hub thing.
I do, yeah. Well, no, I mean, if you're going to send
things.
when you send that phone back, I mean, I think at that point, I would say, maybe you should just upgrade. Because you haven't. Do you still have your 8X, or did you give that to somebody?
I gave it away.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's smashed.
Mine, unlike that one, was not destroyed.
Right.
You gave it to Liz, and she smashed it for you. Yeah. Cool.
She has a force of nature.
Yeah. And all right, I'll stop right there. Our show today. I could get in a lot of trouble. Our show today brought to you by ShareFile and Citrix. Of course, if you're in business, you attach files all the time to your emails. That's just, presentations and spreadsheets and contracts and whatever. Problem is, if you attach something to email, well, there's a lot of problems. First of all, it may not get there because of just the sheer size of these files now. You're going to get bounce backs a lot of the times. It's not secure. When you're sending something via email, it's like sending it on a postcard. Anybody along the way can see it. So that means it's not HIPAA compliant, not compliant with regulations in a lot of areas, SEC regulations, if you're in finance, things like that. Okay, that's problem 2. And then the third problem is I don't want to encourage people to open attachments. We've said that so many times. Do not open attachments. It's dangerous, especially if they come from somebody you know. It's noobish to send attachments. You need a better way. You need ShareFile. ShareFile is designed by Citrix for use in business. It's secure. You can send files of almost any size. I mean, just massive files if you need to. You can totally control who has access to the file for how long. You'll get email alerts when the files are opened and reviewed. Plus, it's easy for you to work more efficiently because your shared folders are visible on the cloud. You can use the ShareFile app on your smartphone or tablet, access your data anywhere. We use ShareFile. I use the royal we. I use ShareFile. Here's my ShareFile account to send audio to radio stations every day, practically. I'll send them, you know, and you know, I don't want to say this disparagingly, but you know, I'm sending this to some guy at a radio station. They may not be a complete geek. I can't really, you know, I can't do anything that requires them to sign up for a membership to something. So this is so much easier for me to do this. I will send them the file. By the way, you can also request files from non-ShareFile users. That's handy. There's so many features. I can't really demonstrate them all. But you control, you know, when they get it, how long they can download, all that stuff. It's just so easy. I want you to try it. You've got 30 days free right now if you use our offer code WINDOWS. So go to sharefile.com. At the very tippity top there, you might even miss it. It says podcast listeners. Click here. If you would do me a favor, click that link and enter the offer code WINDOWS. If you wish to customize it for your business, your industry, do. That way, you know it's going to. If there are regulations and requirements, you know, biotech, graphic design, healthcare, as I said, HIPAA compliant, nonprofits, photography. That way, it'll customize it to fit what you need. Please try it today. 30 days free. Sharefile.com. Use the offer code WINDOWS. It is how I share files, and it's been so great for me. I love it. Sharefile.com. Offer code is WINDOWS. You're watching Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. Have we said everything that must be said? Oh, I should say one more thing.
Yep.
Paul has the deets on his page, Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com, for how to get this developer preview. It's not hard, and it's free, right?
Yep.
So we won't go. We don't need to go into it here. If you just want me to send people to your page.
You may recall that last week it was my tip of the week.
Yes.
Which was a perhaps curiously timed to some people, but now you know why. So
another thing that somebody in the chat room is pointing out is that Cortana, for it to work in the developer preview, you have to have U.S. settings in your configuration.
Yep. Yeah, I have that down in the tip for this week. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Clear. Yeah.
Worth mentioning.
By the way, since we brought it up, Microsoft has told me that in some markets that may disable store.
Store?
So if you wanted to test Cortana, you can make your region US and it works, but
then you'll lose the store. All right.
Yeah, although I've had a bunch of people tell me they can get into the store, so I guess it depends on some mystery magic that we know nothing about.
Yeah, we should also point out there are things people are reporting that aren't working for them that Microsoft knows about. Like one of the things I've seen people say is Cortana doesn't do chit chat on my phone, and I see it's doing it for other people.
Chit chat.
And like when you do the "Who's your daddy?" and it comes back Bill Gates. But Microsoft does know this. I saw this from someone on Bing, and it's something in Bing that they're adjusting to fix this. So just hang on, and they're going to fix that.
It's not exactly a bug.
The chit chat's coming.
Chit chat on its way.
Chit chat coming soon.
Chit chat beta 2.
Now with more chit chat.
So I'm not going to have any trouble being an idiot doing this. It's going to be easy. I'm going to install it. I'm not going to brick my brand new bright red 1520.
No.
All right.
I feel confident, Leo.
Should I do it on the air? How confident do you feel? Should I do it next week on the show?
Yeah.
Do you feel that confident?
I do.
How long does it take?
Well, you can, I mean, from start to triggering the actual download of the update is probably 5 or 10 minutes. But then, you got to do that prereq download and then the actual download.
I'll get it all ready.
Be less than an hour.
All right. Perfect. Since this show's
most of it will
long.
just be it grinding gears and doing stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll do it before I put anything else on it. I want to upgrade.
That would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How exciting. Do you guys, no, I won't. This is enough about me. I was going to ask you for a case recommendation, but Mary Jo and I diverge wildly on this as we do with our favorite kinds of beer. But I would say that. Do you have a case with less hops?
I don't.
I like
Lumias
that
are
feather
almost
case.
indestructible. I don't personally put anything on a Lumia.
No, I like on the 1520 when I got the loaner device, it had that feather case that just folds over very nicely from Incipio. I think that was awesome on that phone.
Okay.
And you can get it in red.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking a nice leather case, but
Oh, nice. You might be able to find one.
oh, I have found one.
Oh, good.
Oh, I found one. That's just a question.
No, because sometimes I got to say,
Just don't buy
Windows
the
phones,
Nokia one. The Nokia
Windows
case
phone
of the 1520 is terrible.
accessories are hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, Expansys, and Paul mentioned this, and I've used it before. They're a British company, but they have a U.S. site.
I bought a bunch of stuff from them. They're always great.
always buy my unlocked phones from them. I don't know why. I just do. EXPANSYS. I don't know that the prices are better or anything, but they always seem to have everything.
Right.
Which is kind of a selling point for me. Now, these are, look, and you see all these cases. These are all for the 1520.
Nice.
Yeah, see that Nokia protective case?
Don't get
that case is terrible.
Terrible. And it's $50.
You can buy that in the U.S. for $20, but it's it's terrible.
Yeah, I'll do without a case, but I don't know. These look kind of nice. These leather.
You can use this thing. It's I think you're certified as like a weapon when you have that. You could throw that at someone.
It's got the it's not like the icon where it's squared off. It's got the curve.
No, it's pointy.
It is pointy.
Yeah.
Oh. I like the rolled polycarbonate edges.
No, that's it. It's like that. It's just got
it's just the corners.
Yeah.
Because then the icon is a little more
It's solid.
square.
It's a solid color. It's not painted on or anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Tasty.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
I wish the 1520 had been on Verizon. I would have bought that instead of the icon.
I wish the icon was a 1520 shrunk down to a 5-inch screen. That device would be perfect. I would love to have that device.
You could sure spend a lot of money on phones if you have.
Yeah, you could.
If you have an
You could. Good thing I don't. Oh wait. I probably spent more on phones than any other kind of technology. I mean, it's.
I bought the Windows, the Samsung Windows phone way back when.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I liked it. And then I've been playing with them all along, but this is only the second Windows phone I've actually purchased. So,
Nice.
looking forward to it.
Leo, I can see 17 Windows phones from where I'm sitting. I have
You have a
way too
problem.
many.
It makes sense. You're writing the book on it. Oh, that's another thing, another accessory. I need to buy the book.
Yeah.
Windows.
The book
phone.
is free, Leo.
The book. Oh, good.
Although I'm not sure 8.1. Maybe I'll charge for 8.1.
Yeah, it's got to make money somewhere.
It's not going to be in books.
No.
That much I can tell you.
No. So Paul has an updated article on how to get the dev preview. It's probably on the front page. Actually, this is on Windows IT Pro. So do you want to point people to that one?
No.
Sorry, I may have put the wrong link.
It's the same article. It's just.
Oh, that's just that probably links to. I'm sure that links to my article. That's just like a news article.
Oh, okay. Can't wait. I can't wait. Here it is. Check out my article. Get Windows Phone 8.1 as soon as possible. You know you want it, says Paul Thurrott. You know you want it.
My subheadings are always my real headlines.
You know you want it. I love Paul's stuff. This, though, is an uncommonly normal picture for you.
It is.
Yeah, that's Joe Belfiere's hairy arms with a Lumia 630 or whatever.
Yeah, he's just holding it up. All right, so I should sign up now to be a Windows Phone developer just in case they stop doing that.
All you have to
think
do
it
is
can
log into
stop.
App Hub with your Windows, or your Microsoft account. It's that simple.
Oh. Well, that was easy. That's a snap. Who is Terry Myerson, and why is he saying those terrible things about me?
Terry Myerson
Yes.
is the head of the Unified Operating System group at Microsoft these days. So he's the guy who's in charge of Windows, Windows Phone, the Xbox operating system, Xbox Live. He's kind of a big deal.
He's got it all.
He's got it all.
Yeah.
And I got to talk to him last week, which is, I know maybe not to everyone, this doesn't sound miraculous, but to somebody who hasn't been allowed to talk to pretty much anybody in Windows for 7 years, this was kind of unusual. Yeah. So he came to New York, and Microsoft called me and said, hey, do you want to interview Terry Myerson? And I just was stunned. I'm like, yeah, sure, I do. And we sat for an hour at Rattle and Hum, surprisingly, and did a little interview while drinking some craft beers. And he was very forthcoming, I thought. You know, he didn't answer everything I asked him, but he actually at least said when he would and wouldn't answer, and did give me some clarity on a couple things that Paul and I have gotten tips on, and we weren't sure if it was true. For example, he indicated in his conversation with me that the desktop is not going to be in every Windows SKU from now on, which we kind of thought, but we weren't completely sure.
Well, it hasn't been in phone, but it has been in RT and Pro.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So my question was, is every version of Windows on the desktop going to have this going forward? And he said, you know what? The desktop is key to us, and we're going to keep supporting it, but not everywhere. It doesn't make sense everywhere. Right. And so that was, to me, confirmation of what we had been reporting. And he also basically kind of gave a clue like, yeah, and this SKU is probably something that is going to run on ARM and be the same SKU probably for phone and the smaller tablets. So again, another thing that we had heard from our sources but hadn't confirmed, and he kind of gave it the nod and said, yep, it's going to happen. So we had a really good conversation. We talked about, I asked him about Android too, because I was very curious what he would say. Is Microsoft actually going to support Android apps on Windows Phone and Windows Desktop? And he did not rule that out. He kind of left the door open for that, which was interesting. And I also had a chance to talk to him about the Nokia X phone, because I was wondering if he was one of the people at Microsoft who thinks this is a good idea, that Nokia is building an Android-based phone. And he indicated, again, he is not against the X, and he sees it as a gateway to more customers becoming Microsoft customers of some sort, if not a gateway to getting them eventually onto Windows Phone. So I was pretty happy with the interview all in all. I thought it's a good sign to me that this is a new Microsoft and new Microsoft management that actually is going to engage with us and talk to us and listen to us and let us ask questions. Something different.
Yeah. And, interesting that he doesn't hate the X.
I thought that was really
That
interesting.
kind of confirms maybe the thinking that Microsoft knew about it all along. Or is it revisionist? Is it like, well, since it's out, let's say okay?
They had to know.
They must have known.
That this was in the plan when they bought Nokia's handset division, I would think.
Their due diligence would have revealed that, yeah.
Yeah. But, when I said to him, what about the X? Like your developers, your Windows Phone developers don't love this thing, right? And I can see why they don't. But he just said, you know what? This is going to get more users on our applications and more users of our services. And we think someday we'll win these people to Windows.
That's what we hypothesized. It gets you into the Microsoft cloud. And once you're in the cloud, you're in the ecosystem. It's a foot in the door to the ecosystem.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See, this is why I would be terrible in this job. I would be like, this thing dies now. They would. I'm going to take it out back
it's
personally.
Politics, Paul. It's
It
the art of compromise, which you obviously suck at.
Yep. No, it's a fair statement.
Oh boy. Yeah, and he Terry Myerson, he's somebody who we haven't gotten to talk to a lot as press. So I'm encouraged that they're starting to kind of let him get out there and talk to us, and they're going to have him probably do more keynotes and And he talked a lot about listening to customers. And, a lot of times you're like, yeah, that's lip service.
Right.
But he actually is the one championing the changes that are coming with Windows 8.1 update, doing what customers are asking them to do. So I'm bullish. I'm probably more bullish about what's going on with operating systems at Microsoft right now than I've been in years.
Me too.
Where was Terry?
Definitely.
Where is Terry before this? He's part of the new executive team.
He is. Right. He's in the senior leadership team, which is like the inner circle. But he directly before this was running Windows Phone engineering. And before that, he was working on Exchange back in the day. He came to Microsoft when they bought his startup in the 90s called Intersay. They bought his company. He joined and then became part of Exchange.
Hey.
So, yeah, he's been around a long time. It's all goodness, all good news for us, hoping that there was going to be more transparency and kind of a shift in the way things are being handled.
Mary Jo Foley has a 2-part extensive interview with him on allaboutmicrosoft.com. Very interesting stuff. Terry Myerson.
Yeah.
You asked him about wearables. You pointed out that
I did.
Yeah. He didn't.
He didn't answer.
He dodged that one nice. Yeah.
He did. I said, hey, our sources have been saying you've got some cool stuff happening in wearables, and I said, those sources, and he rolled his eyes like, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, he said, yeah, right, but you didn't tell us he rolled his eyes, but now it does. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there were some fun gestures during our interview and things I left out.
They were either hard to describe in print or
fun.
Yeah, it was good. Hopefully we're going to hear more from him, and not necessarily in really long blog posts, but actually in person. That would be great.
No Sinofsky style screeds.
Oh,
I actually asked him if he was going to start writing lengthy blog posts to describe what was going on, and he said maybe I can delegate that, which was kind of funny.
Wow! Imagine that.
And yet he's still competitive because the last question, you say, with CEO Nadella talking up mobile first, cloud first, and strongly emphasizing cross-platform, does Microsoft's value proposition remain that these things will be first and best on Windows? And he says, virtually, hell yes. He says it's the right thing. I think it's great. Customers would be using Office and understanding how productive Office is. That's great for Microsoft. The strategy is we want to win those users wherever they are, but Windows is best.
By the way, that is absolutely the right approach.
Yeah.
That is absolutely.
It's competitive, but understanding the realities of the world.
Keeping Office off of iPad, dumb.
Right.
Making a good Office for iPad, but then making the Windows version better, smart.
Windows
really smart.
Is the best. We're going to see the best version there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So not such a soft and cuddly or passive Microsoft as we might have presumed.
No. Even though they're, doing a lot of things differently, doing more cross-platform, et cetera, they still want to win. Of course they do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Mark Penn has moved into a strategy position. He was the creator of the Scroogled campaign. And Mary Jo's got the story that apparently that's the end of Scroogled.
Yeah. I can't prove it definitively, but it's... and the reason I say that
Mission accomplished, Mary Jo.
The reason I say that is the Scroogled campaign site is still on the web. Their Twitter handle still exists. But there was an interview that somebody did who is a very high-level guy in the Bing team. His name was Derek Connell. And he just casually mentioned, oh, yeah, and we're done with the Scroogled campaign, by the way. And I asked Microsoft, okay, so are you guys done? It's over. And they said, we're not saying it's over. We're not saying it's not over. That's that.
Right.
So I can't say
I think they're reserving the right? So if Google does something silly, they can come out with a new Scroogled thing right then to respond to it.
And, I think they will do away with this campaign. I really do. I think it's bringing them at this point more negativity than positivity. Yeah. But I know Paul doesn't agree with that.
I'm trying not to choke over here, but keep talking.
I know you're a fan. He has the shirt, the hat, and the mug, all saying Scroogled, I'm sure. I think they still are definitely going to be competitive with Google. They're still going to go on the offensive against Google, but I think it's going to take a different form. That's my 2 cents. I think when they took the advertising budget away from Mark Penn, who is the one who masterminded the whole Scroogled campaign, it kind of sets things up to say, you know what, we're going to put our money in different places, in different directions, but still be very competitive. That's my guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Paul, though, as soon as I tweeted, is the Scroogled campaign dead? Paul's tweet was a long, no.
He likes that campaign.
He loves that.
More Scroogles.
Listen, we can find many examples of this throughout history, throughout Microsoft history, I should say. You know, like Tom Rizzo, when he used to go after Google from Office 365 standpoint or Exchange previously. I like this kind of hard-nosed, in-your-face, competitive stuff. And it's not just from Microsoft. I mean, I like when other people do it, too.
You always wanted Microsoft to respond to Apple's Switch campaign.
Yep, that drove me nuts.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts.
And the I'm a Mac campaign. We were always
Yeah,
like,
that made me
you
crazy
guys.
because those ads were ridiculously wrong. And Microsoft just sat there and took it, you know, again and again. And it, you know, that contributed you know, to the problems that we have had over the past decade. I mean, it was just the wrong thing to do nothing, you know.
Do you think, actually, I know you do because you said so in your article, that this is why Google is more explicit about what it does with email and its new privacy policy?
By the way, it's provably true that that's the case. I mean, these Scroogled ads led to lawsuits against Google because of their invasions of privacy. Several of them, by the way. And the way that Google kind of addressed this, where they said, "Look, you know, we've gotten feedback over the past year, you know, in the form of lawsuits, and you know, we decided to listen to that feedback and be more explicit about what we're doing with our email scanning." And you know, they said, "We are scanning your email when it comes in, when it's sitting on our servers, and when it leaves. Like we scan it right, you know, front, back, and sideways, and you cannot opt out of it." If you pay Google for Google Apps and you don't see ads in Gmail, congratulations, they're still scanning your email. And you can't stop that behavior. That's what they do. And again, not just for the purpose of, you know, security like malware and viruses and things like that. They're doing it to hone their ad creation capabilities. And, you know, whatever. I mean, people hear that and some people go nuts because you get privacy crazies on one side who think that, you know, can't stand this kind of thing. And then you have people on the far other end of the scale who are like, I don't care. I like Google products. This is fine. They can have it. It's not, you know, it's anonymous, whatever. And then there are people kind of sit in the middle, but they've just made it more explicit.
Yeah, I think they should. You don't have to use Gmail.
Nope.
And so, you know, yeah, there's no opt out if you're using Gmail, but you can opt out of Gmail. So
Yes, you can.
I think Google's only real obligation is to be explicit about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
I should say this is not just Gmail. This is a lot, you know, this is their Google services, TOS. But obviously, you know, speaking specifically about email.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way to opt out. Yeah. So just don't use it if you don't like it.
Right. You can opt out. Use Outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a choice.
And Outlook works great, I'm told. So
I've heard that too. I don't know where,
Yeah.
but somewhere.
Let's take a little break. We're going to go back to talk a little more about Office. Nadella does data. And
the worst porn title of all time, by
Did
the
I
way.
really write that? Okay.
I'm
throwing that
aroused.
out
I'm
there.
aroused. And Xbox news. We'll talk about that update and what you get. Our show today brought to you by our good buddies at Shutterstock.com. Shutterstock is a great place to go to get royalty-free stock photos, vector illustrations, videos, footage. So much fun to use Shutterstock. You know what? Even if you don't want any of these, if you just want to browse around, they've got a great iPad app. In fact, Webby Award-winning iPad app. Or go to the site, Shutterstock.com, and take a look at, you know, they're always adding new stuff, which I love. 35 million, actually almost, well, I think probably by now 36 million. No, almost. 35,932,236 royalty-free stock images. They added almost 250,000 stock images last week. A great search tool. You can use that. Just create a free account. You don't need to give them a credit card. You can then use the search tool, search for stuff. Start by nouns. So let's say a smartphone. And then, obviously you'll find a lot of smartphones. But then you can refine your search in ways that really is quite interesting. Kind of really quite sophisticated. Of course, you could say what kind of image. But you can also say things like, and Paul, as a graphic designer, as a blogger, you'll appreciate this. You could have a horizontal or vertical orientation. You can choose a category within the category, exclude keywords. Pick a contributor if you're like a photographer or an artist particularly. You can say, I want to see only that stuff. You could say, I only want images with people. I don't want any images with people. You can choose gender, age, ethnicity, the number of people, and on and on and on. They even have this great color picker that lets you say, I want cell phone images in dark blue to match, my site or whatever. This is really a sophisticated thing, and all of this is free to you. Now, when you decide you want to buy images, you can buy individual image packs or a monthly subscription. We have the 25 images a day subscription, which is fabulous. 25 images a day. Oh, look. So you like this model? You can see all the stuff she's done. Wow, that's funny. Similar images. Customers also liked. This is so cool. I really enjoy playing with Shutterstock. Don't forget to click the footage tab because they have great royalty-free videos too. 1.7 million strong and great crystal clear high def. Really beautiful. Great for your PowerPoint or your video production. If you use the offer code Windows414 when you decide to buy, you'll get 20% off any package. If you get the subscription, that means a long-term savings of 20%. Windows 414 at Shutterstock.com. The best royalty-free images, photos, vectors, and, of course, footage. Shutterstock.com. Use the offer code Windows414. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. We're talking Windows Weekly. We're talking Office. What's the latest with Office? Office 365 Personal. Oh, wait a minute. I muted you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Just a couple quick updates on Office. One is Office 365 Personal is now available for purchase. That's the one where if you only have one PC and one tablet or one Mac and one tablet,
a good deal.
You can subscribe now for $6.99 a month or $69.99 a year. And there's one little weird thing that's still up in the air that I haven't been able to clarify with Microsoft, because I've had people say to me, what does the Surface count as? Does it count as your one tablet or your one PC?
That's a good question.
I can answer that.
You might think you can.
Oh, okay.
I bet you're going to answer it the way I did. It's a tablet, right?
No, it's a desktop. No, it's not.
It's a
PC.
Desktop?
Because it's a desktop app.
Right.
So
Microsoft's
eventually, when
giving
when that touch version of Office comes out, that will be the
so it's
tablet.
based on the app you're using.
Yeah, you could in the future have the same PC be both the tablet and the PC in this scheme. Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
But right now, if you get this, some people have asked me, could your Surface count as your tablet? Because the definition of the tablet in this case is it has a removable keyboard. Right.
Yeah,
so
it's the
Microsoft's
Office
trying
version.
to clarify it. Yeah, I've asked them and they said they can't answer it, and they're working to get clarity on that. But yeah, I would say defer to what Paul's saying for right now, that it's not a tablet until we find out otherwise.
One little tip, I guess, or just a comment on this thing. Office 365 Personal is a good deal, right? It's $70 a year or $6.99 a month.
Yeah, it's really good.
If you have even the smallest possibility of using Office on more than one computer, get Office 365 Home. It's $30 more a year, but it dramatically expands
Yeah, you
the
get
capabilities.
5 PCs.
5 PCs or Macs or Macs. 5 tablets.
Yeah, that's the one I use.
Today, iPads today. But it's 20 gigabytes of extra OneDrive storage per user, up to 5 users, not just 20 gigabytes extra. It is a dramatically better deal. If there's any chance at all that you're going to use it on like 2 PCs, just get Home, even if it's just you by yourself. that will be a better deal.
That's the one I use.
Yeah.
Because I also, it's nice because it's going to be heterogeneous. I install Mac versions of Office here, Office at home on Windows, and of course the tablet version. So it's nice. It's really really useful.
I just started. It's weird. I had installed this on my kids' computers, over a year ago, and I only just recently did it in such a way because now my kids are starting to use Office in school, and they, I finally went through the thing with them where I said, look, you can, you have a Microsoft account, you have your own OneDrive, you can log in with this. I added them to the account, which I'd never done before, and it's actually kind of neat. I mean, everyone gets, the additional storage. They get their own experience. I showed my son how, he has an iPad for school, and how you can have OneDrive on the iPad and Office on the iPad, and you can log into it with your account, and it just works. And you can, the thing you were working on last night on your laptop is now available on your iPad when you get to school. And his face lit up like he couldn't believe it. Like, this is amazing. And it really kind of is amazing.
It's how people want to use it, frankly.
We get so jaded to this stuff sometimes. It's interesting to watch someone who, where this is like a new concept. Like, this is great. Like, yeah, it is great.
Yeah.
It really is great.
Imagine if you could do this with everything. No more backpack to and from school. Wouldn't it be cool if lunch just replicated in your
my lunch does sort of replicate. What do you mean? Yeah.
That would be cool.
Now, they've also added, and I'm looking for this Chrome extension for Office Online. That's cool, too.
I just did this morning because, I'm a huge Chromebook fan. And
you're joking.
No, but I do have a Chromebook, just for testing. Yeah. And it's Word, it's Word, PowerPoint, and OneNote are available now. I don't know why Excel isn't there. You can add them to that Chrome launcher. You can also pin them to the taskbar. They call it something different.
But it gives
work
it parity
offline,
with Office, Google Apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not quite. It doesn't work offline. So it's still online only. Right. So you have to be connected to the internet to use it.
Okay.
And no one has ever said this. Clearly, they have to add this. I mean, it's such an obvious thing to add.
Yeah.
I'm looking in my Chrome browser. Is this the one that says Word Online? No.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so actually, go to the top where it says more app results on the top right.
Yeah.
Click that, because then you'll see the full list. So you see Word,
PowerPoint. Oh, you have to do it one by one. Got it.
Yep.
Oh, what I'm adding OneNote. That's nice. All right.
It's weird. The publisher says live.com, doesn't it?
Yes, I thought that was weird too. Yeah.
Maybe they don't want
it
to
was
say
almost
the
like that's how they
N-word.
got it by Google. This is live.com.
Now, really, this is just the internet, the web browser-based version of a Note in Office.
Well, yeah, but so if you know anything about Chromebook, and again, I consider myself an expert, you can't arbitrarily pin anything you want to the Chrome launcher. Even though Outlook, I'm sorry, Office Online or Word Online, to use an example, is a full-featured HTML5 web app, you cannot with a Chromebook pin that to the taskbar to that Chrome launcher. Got it. It has to be in the store. It has to be a special formulated thing, and so they've done that little bit of work, to make that possible.
They've also, you can talk to your apps. I like this. Tell Me is now in the Office apps.
Not the same Tell Me.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. You can't talk to. Yeah.
I know.
I thought I could talk to my apps.
No, it's not that.
I'm reading this blog post. I thought I could. What?
But you know what? It's even a better Tell Me in a way. It's actually a Tell Me to help you figure out where stuff is in these apps.
So you type it?
Yeah, it's like a pull-down toolbar thing. It's if you can't figure out where something is in the ribbon or whatever, you type in there, I want to do blah, blah, blah.
See, I just was reading the blog post, and I saw this pop-up box that says, tell Excel what you want to do, and it will pull up the perfect commands for you.
Yeah. Right.
And
you have to tell it.
Yeah.
You tell it.
You have to tell it by typing.
it. Okay. But it's a help feature.
It is.
It's
great.
It's a goofy feature in a way because it was supposedly necessitated by the fact that, what's the matter?
Goofy. I like it.
No. I'm going to get to what. No, it's not really goofy. I mean, what I was going to say was ostensibly it's because people couldn't find anything anymore because they don't have toolbars, they have ribbons. But that's baloney. Office has so many commands. How could you possibly walk into Excel and immediately know where everything is? I mean, this is actually a very necessary feature. This would have been necessary in the old toolbar-based version of Excel.
Apple has done this for years on the Macintosh with the help feature. If you start typing in the search a menu command, it will actually drop the menu and show you the menu command.
On the desktop versions of Office, there's actually an add-in you can install that does this. It actually walks you through how to find stuff. It actually will move stuff around and show you where stuff is. So you can do that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice feature because menus are bigger than...
This is all about getting people to shut up about the ribbon. It really is designed. Yeah, just stop. Stop pretending that this is ruining your life and just move on. Yeah.
Shut up about the ribbon already.
Great.
Yep.
What else is new in Office Online? Anything else?
It's just a bunch of stuff. I mean, I Tell Me is the big one that I think was in Word. They've added it to Excel and PowerPoint. You know, OneNote you can print. Actually, I don't really look at OneNote online all that much, but it looks like the Metro app now, which I think is awesome. It's got that same kind of UI, which I think is kind of neat. You know, footnotes and endnotes in Word, I think.
VBA support. Right?
Yeah. Well, the VBA
really? Online?
No,
to
it doesn't.
Some
It doesn't.
extent.
Yeah,
Right.
it lets you open a VBA-enabled document and not screw it up. Like you can't.
That's still good. That's still a good thing.
Yeah. People are mourning VBA just like they are mourning Fox Pro and Visual Basic 6 and whatever else.
Well, if you wrote a lot of code in it, and we used it for automation.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about this, but I believe that the way this used to work is if you opened a VBA and equipped or enabled document that was from Word 2007 or earlier in Office Online, there was the chance that it could have corrupted the code because it doesn't understand VBA. So now it does not. Right. So it does not do that anymore.
That would not be good. Anything that corrupts the code is a bad idea.
Is bad. Yeah. Well, Microsoft is all about this. They talk about document fidelity, and typically what they mean by that is the formatting and style of the document. So if you open it in Office Mobile, even though it maybe can't show you exactly what it looks like, you can play with things, edit text, and you won't screw it up. It's one of the problems they try to highlight with things like Google Docs or other Office-compatible solutions, because those things often read a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, and they just don't retain the formatting. So it's kind of an extension of that, I guess.
I didn't realize I don't know why I didn't. That OneNote Online didn't print, or you couldn't print from it. So
I know.
I just never thought to try, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and some people have, said to me, I'm not seeing this stuff. Like everything else Microsoft does these days, it seems, this thing is kind of rolling out. And so you may not see them all, these changes immediately. In fact, I didn't write about this for a couple of days because I didn't see these changes initially. But I guess it's because they're rolling out over the course of the week. So I suppose there's still a chance that, you may not see some of the new stuff yet. I'm going to go look at it now, actually.
I don't have the printing yet, I don't think.
Yeah, printing, that's what reminded me of it, is printing is the one that people are like, where is this thing?
Does seem like a missing feature.
Yeah. Well, Office for the iPad doesn't print either.
I know. Yeah.
I need to connect to my fax machine.
And I just sent a fax Saturday.
Did you really?
Don't knock it, yeah.
That's funny. Wow.
Well, I used Ring Central. I didn't have to use a machine, but, it's a lot of people want faxes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Mostly backwoods, farmer types, but they want faxes. Nadella is back in the city. He came back to San Francisco. He loves it here. I I think Microsoft's going to move to San Francisco.
Right. That was a crazy rumor a while back. Yeah. He was there yesterday, in fact, and they did a big customer and press event in the city that was focused all about data. And they talked a lot about all these enterprise products that we all know and love, like Hadoop and Power BI, which is their business insights service. They talked about SQL Server 2014 that has the built-in in-memory online transaction processing technology. And then they threw in a couple of new announcements. And the one that was the most interesting was they announced a new Internet of Things service that's going to run on Windows Azure. It's called, did I say Windows Azure? Sorry, Microsoft Azure,
Whoa.
not Windows. It's this new service is called Microsoft Azure Intelligent Systems Service. Wow, that's a mouthful. And what it does is kind of cool. You know how there are sensors in all kinds of devices these days, and it's sending people all these feeds of data constantly. And what can you do with all those data feeds? This service is supposed to collect that data from wherever these sensors are that you have out there, whether they're in Windows embedded devices or non-Windows embedded devices, any operating system pretty much, collects the data, processes it, and uses Microsoft's tools like Power BI and like HG Insight, which is their Hadoop service, to analyze the data for you. And this service right now is just in a limited customer preview that they're starting up. But this is kind of the first step that we're seeing of Microsoft's Internet of Things strategy and how that's going to involve the cloud and how it's also going to be cross-platform, which is kind of exciting instead of just limited to Windows devices. So yeah, he talked about all that. And Kevin Turner was there, who is the COO of Microsoft, and he talked about some customer stuff. And they did a lot of demos of harnessing data, using Excel to process data, showing people what Power BI was and how you can do all these cool new mapping visualizations. So it was very enterprise-centric, and you could tell it was like totally right in Satya Nadella's wheelhouse, because that's where he came from when he came from the enterprise side of Microsoft. So it was a good event. It was long. It was like 2 hours of enterprise goodness. I think some of the people were kind of like
long,
enterprise goodness.
Yeah.
Enterprise goodness.
Like military intelligence.
15 minutes would seem long. It's all long.
Yeah.
There's no way to do brief.
By the way, I
if
probably told this story.
If you're a customer,
Years ago,
you want to see that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The very first time I ever went to a Microsoft kind of business-oriented program, I don't remember what the context of the show was, but they did a demonstration of what they used to call back office, right? Which was Microsoft Mail before they had Exchange, SQL Server back when it was based on Sybase SQL Server, and whatever else I don't remember, proxy server or something. And I literally fell asleep, like in the audience, fast asleep.
That'd be me at an Xbox event. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yep.
How can you be bored with an Xbox event? It's all about fun and games.
But a lot of that stuff is so silly, though. I actually have a disconnect with a lot of the Xbox stuff, to be honest.
Well, that's because you only play Call of Duty. That's all you do.
Only. The term "only" is
entirely
confusing.
Entirely Call of Duty. The Internet of Things service.
Yep, that's the Azure Internet of Things.
IoT.
And we don't know a lot about that yet because it's in a limited customer preview. But I think this is just the first of many Internet of Things pieces that we're going to see from Microsoft, both connected with Azure and also beyond that in terms of what they do with Bing and what they do with their other products. So this is a very kind of like them sticking their toe in the Internet of Things water this week.
Jeez. Don't get any Internet of Things on your feet there. Just don't track that in the house.
Things sting.
It's like little burrs you get out in the woods that you can't get off your jeans.
Internet of Things.
Ow. All over me.
Yeah. So it was good. And we're going to see a lot more of Nadella, I have a feeling. He's not going to be somebody hiding behind the curtain. I heard next week on the Microsoft earnings call, he's going to be on the call, which is very interesting and new.
Rarely do you see a CEO do that, right?
Yeah. Especially a Microsoft
CEO. Got to get him on the
CEO.
podcast. He's apparently will go anywhere. So
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Would be awesome to have him on.
We'll work on that.
Should I pursue that, or would you probably have better connections?
Yeah, we can take a crack at trying to get him on. I don't know. It'd be tough.
It's the premier Windows podcast.
I'd like to get Terry
Myerson. There are other Windows podcasts.
on would be great.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys are on the top 100 Twitter users list.
You got to get over that.
Woo!
Yeehaw. Yeehaw. All right, so we got a new Xbox UI. I downloaded it this morning. 400 some megabytes. What do I get? What do I get with Rubber Biscuit?
It's all useless crap, Leo. But I think the important point behind this update, honestly, is that the Xbox team, like the rest of Microsoft, all of a sudden, it's like they're starting to pay attention. You know, they're actually listening to feedback, and in their case, the way they're doing it is they're letting people sign up and get into a beta program and test and provide feedback about these updates before they go public. And so this update in particular is the first one that was under that program and includes some stuff that people provided feedback about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's weird because when the Xbox One first came out, I think anyone who uses this would admit and acknowledge that it was very incomplete and was lacking in all kinds of features that the Xbox 360 already had. You know, people complain very vocally about that. And they've been kind of fixing stuff. But I think doing this kind of program is smart and overdue or whatever. But and you just see little things that make, you know, it's kind of like fit and finish type stuff. You know, the big one for me is the system update improvement one, which is basically that it's like an update for the update. You know, in the past, people who used the Xbox One correctly, you know, with air quotes around it, would let their machine go to sleep. And that way they could walk in the room and say Xbox on. It would come up, you know, would wake up, and you don't have to boot the thing like you would with an old-fashioned device.
Right. I love that.
The problem, yeah, it's excellent. And it's the way I use my Xbox. But if you install the system update, and, you know, one comes out every month, it would reboot. And on reboot, it would go back to the normal way of doing things. It wouldn't go into like connected standby. You have to kind of turn that on again. And so
thanks for letting
they've
me know.
fixed that. Yeah, it's
that's the
crazy.
people. That's
it's
the
fixed.
people
Now it's
fix
fixed. So now going forward, because people complain, like, why should I have to reconfigure that? It's stupid.
It should remember my settings.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff, there's no like one thing I can point to and say this is an awesome new feature per se, other than maybe that thing. Just a bunch of little things I think that really improve the situation across the board. But I just think the big deal is the listening, and you know, the Xbox oddly is suffering from kind of an image problem right now, and I think them listening to their fans is absolutely the right thing to do.
Good man. Good going. Way to go.
So I'd like to spend the next 37 minutes on Call of Duty.
Okay.
And here's what I'm thinking.
So I mean, they have a lot of now like cheap download games like Rayman and stuff. So they're adding stuff. Titanfall,
but still, it's kind of a wasteland, isn't it?
It's still pretty much of a wasteland.
It is amazing to me that all these months later, there's really not that much going on in there.
Yeah.
Except for Titanfall. Titanfall apparently is the only game on Earth.
Apparently. I tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tire of all games, though. It's rare that a game will capture me and I'll play it all the way through. The last one I did was BioShock Infinite. That most of the time, I played it for a while.
This is not available on the Xbox One, but if you haven't played these games, you should and must. They're on iOS and they're on the 360. But those Walking Dead games,
they're great, aren't they? Yeah,
are unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And the second one has come out. I think they're 2 episodes in. I think they're 5 episodes each, and then the first one had like a special extra episode or whatever. But if you have not played those games, you should.
You know who was?
It's like an extra tip.
Free. Play them games. We got tips and picks and beer and stuff coming up in a bit. Our show today brought to you by Don and Tim and the guys at IT Pro TV who were up here a couple of days ago. We had a blast, and they showed me so many new features. If you go to the website, you'll see it does look different. There's a lot of new stuff. IT Pro TV is a video network designed and dedicated exclusively to the world of information technology. Whether you're looking to jumpstart your career in IT or you're already working in the field, IT Pro TV. Hey, there's Don. Hey, Don. What you doing? Looks like you're in the command line, Don. What is he up to? Uh-oh. He's configuring stuff. That's what I love about this show. This is geekier than we are. And that's saying something. If you want to improve your skills or get a job in IT, IT Pro TV is a great way to learn. on your big screen TV because they have a Roku app, or you're on your tablet or your laptop.
Now that's set. GLBP is up. Well, in theory, it's up, right? Yeah. We don't get a lot of messages about, like, your neighbor detected, active, standby, whatever. And
so this is for somebody who wants to learn this. I mean, they cover everything. PC support, network security. You can prepare for the ISC squared tests, VLAN subnetting, A+, CCENT, Net Plus, Security Plus, MCSA. This is Adam Gordon, who is a security guru, teaches the ISC squared stuff, the SSCP and CISSP prep classes. The library. Let me get out of this show. They basically what happened is they did everything that we do at Twit and at Tech TV, but with the idea of training you to get your cert. Shows are streamed live and on demand. Worldwide, comparing just even to the cost of a study guide, it's very affordable, a lot less expensive than going to an IT boot camp. There's no hassle. They make it easy to cancel because they care. I mean, they really do. And now they've got the new web interface. They have a learning management system that tracks your progress. And I can't show you because I'm on a Mac right now, although they're going to change that in a couple of weeks, and I'll show you. But you can go to the website yourself and play with the virtual machine sandbox lab environment. Lets you run a server and clients and do everything in virtualization. It's not some fake and phony thing. It's the real deal. You get Measure Up practice exams included with your subscription. That's worth $79. And if you're an annual subscriber, you can download episodes and audio-only MP3s unprotected for offline consumption. Speaking of listening to your customers, this is something customers asked them for, and they said, "All right, we're gonna trust you." It's very affordable, $57 a month, $570 for a year, but because you're listening to Windows Weekly, they're going to make you a deal. If you sign up now and use the code WW30, you're going to get 30% off your subscription, not just for the first month or year, but forever, for the lifetime of your account. That means we're talking less than $40 a month. And I'm telling you, you're going to get a better job. You're going to get a raise. You're going to get a promotion. This is the kind of stuff you want. Go to itpro.tv/WW. Take a look at the free stuff, the live streaming and all of that. And then sign up using the offer code WW30. And you will save 30% forever. Start or advance your IT education today at IT Pro TV. itpro.tv/WW. Don't forget the offer code WW30, and you will save big. These guys are just doing such a great job, and I like them. We went to lunch, had fun talking. I'm excited about what they're doing. They're really getting people up to speed, and the success stories they have are just fabulous. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, time for a tip of the week, Mr. T.
Yes. I have a couple of tips. I actually have a couple of picks, too, so I'll kind of race through this. I didn't mean to overload this. But the first one is just about Windows Phone 8.1, and I will say that I have published several tips already. I will publish many more, and then I'll eventually collect them into a central article. But, we've touched on some of the neat new things you can do around showing more tiles, using that start background image and so forth. There's a new way to take screenshots. There's some features from i11 that have made their way over from the from the tablet to the phone, which is really cool. So lots of stuff there. One thing I have not written up, I'm not sure if I will, which is the thing we mentioned earlier, is how to use Cortana outside the United States, which basically involves just setting your regional settings to the United States.
Okay, what does this picture have to do with pinning the Sense apps to the
Absolutely
start?
nothing, and thank you for noticing. That guy's really happy.
He's going to the donut shop.
Yep. He's saving on his wireless data thanks to Davis. Wi-Fi.
Pin the Sense apps to the start and dance like a fool. You're just, at this point, you're punchy, and you're just putting nonsensical imagery.
Listen, we could all look at another photo of something getting pinned on a start screen somewhere, but
why?
Why?
So. Why not have a mannequin doing kung fu
right
in the middle of a night on a deserted street? Why not? Okay, they're all at the super site for Windows, winsupersite.com, of course. Of course.
And actually, that particular tip, which is about pinning web pages to the start screen as live sites, especially formulated sites can
that's
have live
neat.
tiles.
So if they would understand the tile metaphor, and they would do it.
Right. This is true on Windows too, by the way. It's not unique to Windows Phone, but now it works in Windows Phone too, and that's cool.
So how do you
my
know?
site does not. Yeah, how do you know? You don't. That's the unfortunate thing. So actually, in the comments, some people have been listing out the sites that do support this. CNN is one. WP Central is one.
That's cool. So they don't even have to have an app. They could just. We should do this for the Twit site.
Yeah, I guess it's really easy to do. I say I guess because the people that run my site are incapable of making this happen. But anyway, there is an app for Windows Phone 8 and 8.1 called Web Apps, which you should check out if you have that phone. What they do is curate HTML5 websites or web apps and provide beautiful live tiles for them so that you can pin them to your start screen. So, for example, if you pin my site through this app, you get a beautiful live tile. And that's kind of a neat thing you can do. It's free, and the app works great. And so that's kind of a neat thing, too.
Scott, as you point out in one of your articles, Scott Hanselman, or no, actually one of the commenters points it out, Scott Hanselman has made a post on how to make the, and it's just some
and see, this was written back when Windows 8.1 first came out,
right.
But this is how you do it for Windows Phone.
Yeah.
As well. Yep. Yeah, it's the same browser.
So it's literally basically meta tagging.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot of code.
No.
Wow.
Like I said, it looks really easy. So anyway,
no, Mr. Thurrott, if you knew anything about development, you'd
listen, that response you just gave me is more of a response than I've ever gotten from anyone. So
silence is easier.
It's just right into a black hole. Yeah. I'm still waiting for them to fix like a commenting bug I first reported in November.
Lord.
Just don't want to go there. Anyway. So as far as tips go, also this just happened, or it was just announced, and I was just kind of checking this out. It's pretty cool. You were stepping through a process of telling Cortana about your interests, right? Which is how you personalize it. Yeah. Microsoft has now added this capability to Bing on the web as well.
Oh.
And if you sign into Bing, you can tell Bing on the web what your interests are. And if you've signed in with the same account on your phone, these things will actually go back and forth. And what this will do on the web is customize the Bing.com webpage experience. And so if you're used to that homepage, you know that obviously they have that beautiful image of the day, which is great. But then there's this kind of strip at the bottom of like little thumbnail pictures. And they're sort of like trending news stories that are happening now through Bing.
Well, it knows I love Beyonce and Jay-Z. I think
it does.
And Robin Thicke's dad.
Important.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
So if you customize Bing, those can change to things that you say are interesting to you.
Where do I?
The weather where you are, information about a trip you're about to go on, whatever it may be. And so that's kind of a neat thing. I did do this. I should look at it again because when I first did it, I didn't see much in the way of customization. You have to log in.
I'm logged in. What did I click the
gear? Yeah.
Click the gear.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Click the gear. Okay.
So if you
personalization,
I don't see it on yours. Hold on, let me look at mine.
I don't either.
That's
interest. Well, here it is. This interest. But no, clear. All I can do is clear it.
No, right. So I have an interest item on the left in my.
Well, maybe they just. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Here it is. Follow your interests on Bing.
So I mean, I just brought this thing up.
Let's get started.
It's not working great, I think is the fair thing to say right now.
Daily glance, traffic.
Microsoft shows what it could look like. I don't see it yet.
Weather near me. I'm going to turn that on. Notify me when there are weather incidences.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff you can add. There's more coming. I mean, it's just pretty basic right now, but.
That's good. So daily glance, I can say what's in my daily glance. Actually, not really. I can add interest here. Okay. Here's those questions. No.
Yeah, well, not the same ones, but some of the same stuff.
I've added traffic. Cool.
Yeah. Now, when you go back, you should see at the bottom some of your interests instead of Robin Thicke's dad and.
Right. I do. I see Petaluma weather.
There you go.
Isn't that nice?
Yes. Yeah. So you're seeing what I see, which is only two things. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Microsoft's example showed a lot more stuff.
Well, maybe in time.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not interested in Wayne Gretzky's girlfriend. I mean,
no, she's absolutely gorgeous, and maybe that is one of my interests. The point is, I didn't choose it now, and it's just there, and maybe someday in the future that will change.
Not girlfriend, wife. No, wait a minute, daughter. Oh my God, that's Wayne Gretzky's daughter. Paul, I'm shocked. You would.
We're getting old, Leo. I think it's
apparently she's did a Golf Digest video, and she's quite beautiful. Isn't that? I am getting old. I just assume that's his girlfriend. It's his daughter.
Sure.
She's like 28. Okay.
That seems to be a U.S.'s only thing too, right? Martin Anderson's telling us. Yeah, like so many things with Bing, U.S. only, I think.
Mary Jo's video is frozen, by the way.
Yeah, but it's frozen on a lovely image of her. She seems like she's contemplating.
Looking angry.
She's thinking about her.
Contemplating another 17 minutes of Xbox.
I am. I'm like,
frozen solid. I heard that sound.
What was that?
That means you unplugged your camera or something.
Me? No.
Yeah, didn't it just go boom, boom? Stop and start, says Alex Gumpel. Here, you can have your HTC One back. I ordered a 1520.
Stop and start.
Huh?
Let's see.
Not the icon. I thought I'd have, I don't know, fun. It's big.
Fixed.
She's fixed. Look at that. Boom. Booyah. Booyah. Her lips are moving and everything.
Yay.
Just in time for Paul's software pick of the week. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I'm pretty much done. I mentioned web apps for Windows Phone, which you should definitely check out.
Okay, you're done.
And also just Windows Phone 8.1, which we talked about. I really do think that people who are listening to this podcast and have a Windows Phone 8 handset should really consider upgrading immediately. I kind of alluded to the notion that some phones may never get upgraded past this. There are apparently, it's something like 95% of the Windows Phone 8 handsets out in the world will absolutely be updated over time by carriers and so forth, supposedly. But I think there are some devices that didn't sell very well and are just kind of hanging out there and may or may not get updated in the future, meaning that you should just grab this now because this is as good as it's going to get. And those phones include, I forget the model number, but it was like a Lumia 821, I want to say, on T-Mobile. Is a possibility. Maybe that Samsung Odyssey, those kind of phones. There may be no future firmware updates. Like this might be it.
Mm-hmm. That would be sad.
Yes. Well,
I'm sad.
He's in a better place, Leo. It's okay. He has he can run around with the rabbits.
Yeah. Our enterprise pick of the week comes to us from the now newly mobile Mary Jo Foley.
Yes. I'm going to do 2 enterprise picks of the week and no code name this week.
Okay.
How dare you?
There's a lot of enterprise news. So the first one is if you are somebody in the enterprise who has Windows 8.1 or who has Windows Server 2012 R2, Microsoft had said just before today even that you only had until May 13th to update to the updates for both of those operating systems, or you would get no more patches. They have changed their policy as of today on that. So if you are a business, meaning if you actually upgrade Windows using Windows Server Update Services or Windows Intune or System Center Configuration Manager, you have a reprieve, and you don't have to apply the update now until August 12th. So you get 120 days instead of 30 days to get your users all moved to the new version of Windows. And then at the same time, Microsoft also did fix a problem that some people who are using WSUS were having. And it wasn't working correctly when they were trying to use that to apply the update to client and server and Windows Embedded. They fixed that as of today. It should all be working fine now so that everybody can start applying those patches. But again, you have until August if you're a business, though if you're a consumer, you only still have until next month, May 13th.
All right.
So that's one enterprise pick. The other one is for those people who are still running Windows XP. And we know that you're out there. But this is good news for the big enterprise customers who are still stuck on XP because they haven't finished their migrations. So Microsoft does this thing that's called custom service agreements for those customers. And typically they've paid millions of dollars to get Microsoft to continue to give them patches, even though as of April 8th, they weren't supporting Windows XP anymore. It turns out Microsoft has decided it was too expensive and too risky to do that. So they have cut the prices substantially of those custom service agreements. So if you are a large customer and you've been holding off because you said, wow, I can't afford to get one of those agreements, you should go back and look and talk to your Microsoft rep because it may be much more affordable. I don't mean like just a few $100. It's still going to be probably millions of dollars for you, but it could be substantially cheaper than it was before. So this is something that only enterprise users are going to care about. If you're just some guy at home with an XP machine and you haven't upgraded, this is not for you. This is for big, big enterprise customers. And so go to your rep, ask about the CSA, Custom Service Agreement, and see if you can get a deal if you're still stuck on Windows XP.
You know what? This frosts people, though, because
I know.
They say, well, you're saying, wait a minute, you mean Microsoft has the patches?
They have them. Yep.
But they're just not giving them to us. They're just going to, you have to pay millions for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way the custom service agreement works, though, it's something that you have to prove to Microsoft that you actually have a plan to get off XP.
Right.
You have to show them your plan. You have to show them that you have milestones and a date by which you're going to get off the operating system. It's not something that forever we're just going to keep giving you the XP patches under the carpet. So it's something that's very, very specific to enterprise customers. You have to be a premier support customer to get this. So automatically you're probably like a Fortune level company or a really big organization like the British Health Service or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's still
They're
good to know.
They're paying like
because,
$11 million, right? Or,
yeah, these are people who are paying multiple millions of dollars to get these patches and who are actually trying to get off the operating system. So it's a very specialized case, but something worth pointing out if you're somebody who's stuck in that scenario.
Right. Right. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the beer of the week.
Yeah.
And
this
just
is a
for
great
Paul
beer.
Thurrott.
I know.
It's like you're messing with me now.
I am. This is an IPA, my beer pick of the week, but it's got a little extra something. It's called the Dogfish Head April Hop. And it's a Dogfish Head, a very famous brewery in Delaware. They make a ton of really interesting and great beers. This one is a seasonal beer. It only comes out around this time of year. And what they do is they dump a whole bunch of apricots into the beer when they're brewing it. And it doesn't taste like a real fruity beer, but you can taste just like a hint of apricot in it. And it's very refreshing, a really great spring beer. It's also very hoppy, I have to admit, but it's tasty. If you like an IPA and you can find it anywhere, it's definitely worth seeking out.
Beer Advocate says it has an irresponsible amount of hops in it.
Oh, well.
Any amount, Leo, is...
Oh, well.
It's Apra Hop. I love it, from Dogfish Head Brewery. My friends Mary Thurrott and Paul Joe Foley.
Who are they?
I don't know who they are, but they're on that damn Twitter list. Mary Jo Foley is at allaboutmicrosoft.com. That's a ZDNet blog that covers Microsoft constantly. She files all the time. If you want to keep up on Microsoft, that's the place to go for sure. And if you want the help, the how-to, the tips, the reviews, and the occasional curmudgeonly groan, you want Paul Thurrott's super site for Windows. winsupersite.com. That's the place to go. And of course,
new tagline. I like that.
Yeah, the occasional curmudgeonly groan. He also has his books, and now I want to get that Windows Phone book. That's windowsphonebook.com.
That's right.
Okay, that's easy to remember. And that's free right now anyway. Does it cover 8.1?
No, the 8.0 version is free.
Okay.
I'm going to update it for 8.1 this spring.
Good.
I'm thinking it won't be too hard, meaning it will be horribly hard, and I'm going to hate myself by the end of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes.
Maybe you could charge 81 cents.
There you go.
Yeah, that's 81 cents is about what I'll make from it. So that makes a lot of sense.
He also has the Xbox Music book. at Xbox Music, the book?
No, that one's just on the super site right now. I don't have a site for that. Right. Eventually, these things will all be available. It's probably going to be like fieldguidebooks.com. I think that probably just goes to the Windows Books site now.
I like it. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you all for watching. We do the show every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC on twit.tv. Watch live if you can. If you cannot, then we will make on-demand versions available in audio and video. All you have to do is go to twit.tv/WW, press the button. Within seconds, your very own copy will be produced in our highly specialized holodeck-like replicator.
It's like the extruder from the Play-Doh days.
That's right. We want one flavor of dough, but any shape you want. You can also get it in your podcatcher. You know, that new thing, they got that podcast client on your Windows phone. Why don't you just, here be a good chance just to kind of experiment, play with it a little bit, subscribe to that show and see what happens. You might just get one next week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you two next time on Windows Weekly.